Chapter 1989. As Murong Shuang spoke, she turned around and left in a huff. The two guards who were accompanying him also followed him. She had only said that in a fit of pique and wanted to test Mu Lianfeng's reaction. She originally thought that Mu Lianfeng would urge her to stay, but when she got into the carriage and left Zhao Yuner's courtyard, Mu Lianfeng remained unmoved and let her leave. Murong Shuang, who was in the carriage, could not control her tears as they streamed down her cheeks. After crying for a while, Murong Shuang's eyes revealed a hint of viciousness. She was not willing to let Mu Lianfeng be snatched away by a country bumpkin just like that. What could she do to win back Mu Lianfeng's heart? Murong Shuang's heart was brewing. She might as well find a man and rape Zhao Yun. As long as Zhao Yuner's body was ruined, she did not believe that her cousin would be so generous and not mind his woman being raped. With that thought, Murong Shuang fiercely gritted her teeth and prepared to carry out this plan. After Murong Shuang left, Zhao Yuner's courtyard finally quieted down. Both Zhao Wenhua and Liang Jinxiao were shocked. Fortunately, Mu Lianfeng had rushed back in time. Otherwise they did not know what would have happened. If something had happened to Zhao Yun and Dao Du, their third branch would not be able to bear it. Zhao Wenhua frowned and asked Zhao Yun, who was that person just now? Why did she treat you like that the moment she arrived? Did you offend her? Liang Jinxiao also patted his chest and said, yes, one look and you can tell that her background is not simple. You can't offend this kind of person. Yun, she won't come to our house to cause trouble for you next time, right? Zhao Yun, naturally didn't know if Murong Shuang would come again, but she knew that this woman wouldn't give up so easily. She liked Mu Lianfeng and was so possessive. How could she let her off so easily? It was even more impossible for him to hand over Mu Lianfeng so easily. Zhao Yun guessed that this woman must be thinking of other ways to deal with her, but she didn't know what methods she would use and how to deal with her. During this period of time, she had to be careful in order to avoid any mishaps. Mu Lianfeng apologetically explained to Zhao Wenhua and Liang Jinxiao, Uncle Andy, that was my cousin. She's used to being willful at home. She's like this even when she's here. I'm sorry for scaring you. So she's the crown prince's cousin. Needless to say, they knew that Murong Shuang's background was not simple. No wonder she was so arrogant. After listening to the conversation between Mu Lianfeng and Murong Shuang, Zhao Wenhua and Liang Jinxiao were faintly worried. Since she was Murong Shuang's cousin and had feelings for Mu Lianfeng, then what about their Yunil? After all, marriage in ancient times was decided by parents and matchmakers. What if the family made arrangements for the two of them and let Mu Lianfeng marry Murong Shuang? Even if Zhao Yun could marry the crown prince, she would still have to lower herself in the crown prince's residence. Zhao Yun's position in the residence would definitely not be comparable to Murong Shuang's. When the time came, she would inevitably be wronged. Unfortunately, it was useless for them to worry. They were just ordinary country folk. How could they change anything? In front of these adults, they were not even worth mentioning. Father, that bad woman is too bad. Dao Du complained to Mu Lianfeng in dissatisfaction and pouted. Chapter 1990. Sob, 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 father. You didn't even teach that bad woman a lesson and avenge Dao Du and mother. Dao Du could not help but complain. Dao Du felt that letting Murong Shuang go so easily was too easy for her. From Dao Du's point of view, if someone bullied him, he had to fight back. How could he just let someone go so easily? Mu Lianfeng did not know whether to laugh or cry. He did not know how to coax Dao Du. He did not hit Murong Shuang because he still remembered their sibling relationship. However, the words he said were probably enough to hurt Murong Shuang. Hurting someone did not necessarily have to hurt them physically. Stabbing them in the heart would probably hurt even more. What he said just now must have hurt Murong Shuang immensely. He did not need to do anything else and he had already caused enough damage. Zhao Yun understood this, so she smiled at Dao Du and said, Dao Du, a gentleman uses his mouth and not his fists. Sometimes you have to use your fists, understand? Your father has already helped us out. Thinking about how Mu Lianfeng had defended her and firmly expressed his stance, Zhao Yun knew how important she and her son were to Mu Lianfeng. Actually, Mu Lianfeng's words were enough. As for Murong Shuang, Mu Lianfeng did not need to be merciless. Mother, is that so? Dao Du furrowed his delicate brows. Of course. Zhao Yun touched Dao Du's smooth face. Dao Du nodded. Mother, when Dao Du grows up, he will protect you. Even if father is not around, Dao Du has the ability to protect mother. Just like today, he was still too weak. He wanted to protect Zhao Yun, but he did not have the ability to do so. He could only watch anxiously from the side without any room to fight back. Zhao Yun patted Dao Du's face and chuckled, All right, when Dao Du grows up, I will let Dao Du protect mother. Yes. Daodu nodded heavily. Right, mother, did those bad uncles hurt you just now? Daodu's concerned little eyes fell on Zhao Yun'er again. Zhao Yun'er shook her head. It doesn't hurt. Mother is fine. I was not hurt. Seeing Zhao Yun'er say that, Daodu was relieved. Yes. After the commotion just now, the family of three finally returned to the house. Then she entered the house, but Zhao Yun'er still couldn't let it go. She faintly felt that something was going to happen. Unfortunately, there was no point in worrying now. He could only take one step at a time and hope that nothing major would happen. Over the past few days, nothing had happened to him. His days were very peaceful. However, old Zhao's house was noisy from time to time. Ever since Zhao Wenshui humiliated Feng Zhangxia, the first branch received the money and wanted to build a new house. When they moved out of old Zhao's house, they would not have to see Zhao Wenshui every day. Zhao Wenshui basically treated Zhao Wenshui coldly every time he saw him. Sometimes he could not stand it and directly went up to him to give him a few punches. Zhao Wenshui could not beat Zhao Wenshui, so he could only take a beating every day. After being beaten a few times, Zhao Wenshui simply did not go out. As long as he did not go out, he would not run into Zhao Wenshui and would not be beaten. Sometimes, when he needed to go to the latrine and had to come out, he would observe carefully before sneaking out and rushing to the latrine. After he was done, he would rush back in, afraid that he would bump into Zhao Wenshui. Chapter 1991. Although he had solved the problem of food, he had not solved the problem of other things. There were no women in the family, so no one washed his clothes for him. As a man, how could he do something that only women could do? No one washed his clothes, so he took them off and threw them aside. However, they were from the countryside and did not have many clothes. After changing out of them a few times, they had no more clothes to change into. It was summer, so every night when he went to bed he would sweat all over. After not changing his clothes for a few days, his body would start to rot, and the smell was very strange and unpleasant. Unfortunately, Zhao Wenshui still had no intention of washing his clothes himself. Instead, he started to have other thoughts. As a man, he could not do without a wife. Not to mention that there was no one to serve him every day. Even if he wanted to do it every night, there was no woman by his side. After holding it in for a few days, Zhao Wenshui really could not bear it anymore. He thought of the past. Although Li Chuanying was not very good-looking, she was still a woman and he could make do with it. Now that he had no way to do it, he could only rely on his own hands to relieve his hunger and thirst. However, it was not as comfortable as a woman. It seemed that he had to marry another woman. Zhao Wenshui thought about it. Who could he marry? Several people's faces flashed through his mind, and finally he thought of Chen Chuanxiu. Chen Chuanxiu was a widow, and she had 2 children by herself. It was definitely not easy for her to live. They had hooked up before. If it were not for the stinky woman in the family, it was not impossible for him to be with Chen Chuanxiu. Chen Chuanxiu was much better looking than Li Chuanying. When he did it, he felt a different feeling. After eating the same thing too much, he always wanted to change it. Now that he and Li Chuanying were divorced, it was equivalent to being single. It did not matter which woman he wanted to be with now, and no one could interfere. If he married Chen Chuanxiu now, no one could say anything about it. Zhao Wenshui thought that he could discuss it with Chen Chuanxiu. He would give 10 taels of silver as a betrothal gift, which was not a small amount in the countryside. Chen Chuanxiu's family was poor, so she might be willing to marry him. With that in mind, Zhao Wenshui ran to Chen Chuanxiu's house. Now that he was separated from Li Chuanying, he didn't have to hide so much and went to Chen Chuanxiu's house openly. At this time, Chen Chuanxiu was resting in the courtyard. She had not fully recovered from her previous injuries and could not do any heavy work. Fortunately, Ma Xiaofeng was able to earn some money back. Every day she would buy delicious food to nourish her body. Compared to a few days ago, her body was much better. Xiu, the moment Zhao Wenshui arrived at Chen Chuanxiu's courtyard and saw Chen Chuanxiu, he called her affectionately. Hearing Zhao Wenshui's voice, Chen Chuanxiu frowned and looked in the direction of the voice. Why did this Zhao Wenshui come to his house again? Hadn't she suffered enough from the previous incident? Now she wanted to harm her? Chen Chuanxiu's face was full of displeasure as she scolded, "Who asked you to come over? If other people see you, they will misunderstand and gossip. Hurry up and get out of my sight." Zhao Wenshui did not get angry. Instead, he smiled fawningly and said, "Xiu, why do you have such a bad temper? I finally came to see you and you are still treating me like this. Aren't you afraid that I will be sad?" Chapter 1992. Zhao Wenshui smiled embarrassedly. "Xiu, that's all in the past. I didn't expect to be seen by others. Our relationship was really painful. You were punished, but I was also beaten up badly. We're all the same. Qian Chuanxiu was tricked by Zhao Wenshui once, so how could she pay attention to what Zhao Wenshui said? You deserve it. You're shameless. What did you say in the past? You were the one who seduced me, but you went against your conscience and said that I seduced you. The more Qian Chuanxiu thought about it, the angrier she became. If it weren't for Zhao Wenshui, she wouldn't have committed so many crimes. It was already a good thing that she didn't chop Zhao Wenshui with a knife, but this man still had the face to come to her. Zhao Wenshui felt that he was in the wrong, so he immediately smiled and said, Xiu, I was wrong. I apologize. I admit that I was wrong. I'll definitely make it up to you in the future. Make it up to me? What do you want to make it up to me? Zhao Wenshui, don't be so hypocritical. It's good enough that you didn't trick me, but now you want to make it up to me? Why didn't you come when I was dying? You're a beast. Qian Chuanxiu scolded mercilessly, making Zhao Wenshui a little embarrassed. As a man, Zhao Wenshui lowered his head after being scolded by Qian Chuanxiu. Fortunately, he was thick-skinned. After Qian Chuanxiu finished scolding him, Zhao Wenshui said, Xiu, I really want to make it up to you this time. Can you listen to me? Qian Chuanxiu didn't have the patience. She picked up the stick under the corner of the wall and waved it at Zhao Wenshui. Who's listening to you? What do you have to say? Get out of here or don't blame me for being rude. Xiu, if you have a conscience, don't come to me. I've already been tortured once. If you torture me again, I'll lose my life. Xiu. Zhao Wenshui was a little anxious. Seeing that Qian Chuanxiu didn't listen to him, he was afraid that Qian Chuanxiu would drive him away, so he directly hugged Qian Chuanxiu. Zhao Wenshui coaxed Qian Chuanxiu. Xiu, just listen to me. I'll leave after I'm done, okay? Qian Chuanxiu immediately panicked. She wanted to scream, but she was afraid that her voice too loud and she would startle others. If others saw her, it would be disadvantageous to her. She didn't know what she didn't know what he wanted to do. She wanted to know what he wanted. What he wanted. You let me go. Qian Chuanxiu scolded in a low voice. Zhao Wenshui, I is Xiu. Zhao Wenshui, you bastard. You can't wait to kill me, can you? I'm telling you, I'm not finished with you. Teat. Can't you listen to me for a while? Qian Chuanxiu struggled a few times in Zhao Wenshui's arms, but she found that she couldn't break free. She could only agree to Zhao Wenshui. Okay. Let me go. I'll listen to you. Zhao Wenshui slowly let go of Qian Chuanxiu. However, Qian Chuanxiu's face was dark. Her eyes looked like she wanted to eat him. Zhao Wenshui, hurry up and say what you want to say. Don't dawdle. Don't let others see. Qian Chuanxiu impatiently urged him. The sooner he finished, the better. Otherwise she would suffer again. Many people in the village passed by her house every day. Chapter 1993. Qian Chuanxiu was stunned. She didn't expect Zhao Wenshui to divorce Li Chuiying. Nowadays it was rare for a man to divorce a woman. After all, the woman couldn't go back to her parents' home after divorcing the man. She had no one to rely on. No matter how hard life was, she had to endure it in her husband's home. How could the two of them get a divorce so easily? Although Qian Chuanxiu was curious, she didn't ask. Instead, she snorted coldly and said, Zhao Wenshui, what does your divorce have to do with me? It's been so long. Don't put the blame on me. Zhao Wenshui smiled and winked at Qian Chuanxiu. Xiu, of course it has to do with you. During this period of time, I have been thinking about how good you are, so I divorced my wife so that we can get married and be together. Xiu, I came here to tell you that I want to marry you. Let's get married, okay? Qian Chuanxiu finally understood that Zhao Wenshui came here to talk to her about this. She thought it was something else. Qian Chuanxiu spat on the ground and scolded Zhao Wenshui. Zhao Wenshui, why don't you take a piss and look at yourself? You want to marry me with your moral integrity? Do you think you're worthy of me? Zhao Wenshui didn't expect Qian Chuanxiu to reject him so straightforwardly. He felt wronged and replied, Xiu, weren't we good at that time? Why don't you like me now? I divorced my wife because of you. You can't abandon me now, right? Qian Chuanxiu's face was cold. She looked at Zhao Wenshui with disgust. Zhao Wenshui, you still have the nerve to talk about the past. You couldn't do what you promised me. You were obviously lying to me. Otherwise, why would I like someone like you? As for your divorce with your wife, I wasn't the one who forced you to do so. Why should I be responsible for you? Zhao Wenshui's heart suddenly sank. Now, even Qian Chuanxiu didn't agree to marry him. What other woman could he find? Zhao Wenshui pondered for a while. Maybe Qian Chuanxiu thought that his family was poor, so she didn't agree. Thus he hurriedly said to Qian Chuanxiu, "Xiu, this time I'm sincere. I really want to marry you. If you marry me, I will immediately give you 10 taels of silver as a betrothal gift. That's right, my daughter is going to marry into a rich family. With her around, I'll be able to live a good life for the rest of my life. You definitely won't suffer if you follow me. Look, it's not easy for a woman to raise 2 children. It's great that you have someone to rely on now. When the time comes, I will send your son to school. I will definitely treat him well. What do you think?" If Qian Chuanxiu had heard Zhao Wenhua's conditions in the past, she would have been tempted. Their family didn't have it easy these years. It was naturally good to find a reliable man to improve their family's life. However, Ma Xiaofeng had recently earned a lot of money by selling pig offal. Now that their family situation had improved, they had a lot of money. They could live a good life on their own and have the money to send Ma Xiaoyu to school. Qian Chuanxiu flatly refused. "Zhao Wenshui, you should take your money and find another woman. In any case, I can't marry you. You don't want to continue living in the village, but I do." Chapter 1994. Is it really impossible for me to get married again? Zhao Wenshui pestered Qian Chuanxiu shamelessly again. "Xiu, I miss you every day. How can you be so heartless and refuse to be with me? Let's be like before, okay? I'll definitely treat you well. If you don't marry me, my wife will divorce. Do you want me to be a bachelor for the rest of my life?" Qian Chuanxiu ignored Zhao Wenshui and continued to wave the stick in her hand. "That's your business. Don't look for me. Now that you're done talking, get out of my house. Don't stay in my house and refuse to leave. I'm telling you, if someone sees this and misunderstands, I won't let you off." Zhao Wenshui was hit by the stick and cried out in pain. "Xiu, be gentle, be gentle. Don't you feel sorry for me when you hit me?" Qian Chuanxiu's face darkened. She was at her wits' end after being tormented by Zhao Wenshui, so she angrily asked, "Zhao Wenshui, are you done? Are you leaving now?" Zhao Wenshui could not bear to leave. With a bitter face he said, "Xiu, will you reconsider marrying me? I told you it's impossible. Don't even think about it. Get out of my house." Seeing Qian Chuanxiu's fierce look, he began to miss the past. At that time, Qian Chuanxiu was very gentle. Zhao Wenshui muttered, "Xiu, you were much more gentle when I pressed you down. Why have you become like my wife now? Fierce and not feminine at all." Qian Chuanxiu was once again angered by Zhao Wenshui. Why was this man so shameless? Why did he have to mention the past in front of her? Especially this kind of thing. When she thought about how she and Zhao Wenshui had slept together in bed, Qian Chuanxiu felt as if she had eaten feces. She even felt like vomiting. "Zhao Wenshui, if you keep talking nonsense to me, I'll tear your mouth apart. If you don't leave, I'm going to call for help and report you to Li Zheng, saying that you insist on pestering me and asking him to be the judge for me." Xiu. Zhao Wenshui was both afraid and reluctant. At this moment, Ma Xiaofeng rushed back from Yang City. Ma Xiaofeng's face darkened when she saw Zhao Wenshui appear in her courtyard. She thought that her mother had taken things too hard and hooked up with Zhao Wenshui. Now, it seemed that Zhao Wenshui had come to pester her. Her mother also looked unhappy and disdainful. Unfortunately, Zhao Wenshui was a thick-skinned person. He stayed in his courtyard and refused to leave. Qian Chuanxiu's temper was better, but Ma Xiaofeng was impatient. If this was seen by the people in the village, it would be terrible. Their family had already suffered enough gossip. How could they afford to suffer more? Thus Ma Xiaofeng rushed into the room and rushed out with a knife. She stood in front of Zhao Wenshui and threatened, "Stop pestering my mother and leave. Otherwise, I'll chop you to death with this knife." Zhao Wenshui's face paled for a moment. He knew that Ma Xiaofeng definitely wouldn't dare to chop him, so he said to Ma Xiaofeng, "Little Feng, don't be rash. This is between your mother and me. I don't mean anything else." Ma Xiaofeng didn't say anything else and swung the knife in her hand. If Zhao Wenshui hadn't dodged quickly, it would have cut him. Zhao Wenshui patted his chest, still in a state of shock. This Xiaofeng girl must have gone crazy. She really slashed people. Chapter 1995. Go. Zhao Wenshui quickly ran out of Qian Chuanxiu's house. How could he not be afraid if this girl was serious? If he was accidentally cut, wouldn't he be dead? His life was not a joke. It was not worth it for a woman. As for marrying Qian Chuanxiu, he was not in a hurry. He could talk about it slowly in the future. Anyway, he could take his time. If it really didn't work, he would marry someone else. With money in hand, if no woman agreed to marry him, he would spend money to buy one back. The woman he bought and the woman he married were different. The woman he married might make a fuss about divorce, but the woman he bought could not go anywhere and could only follow him. When the time came, she would not be able to do any work and would probably be more obedient than Li Chuiying. It was just that buying a woman would cost a lot of money. If he asked old servant Ye to find one, she would probably ask for 30 to 40 taels. And he only had a dozen taels left. If he really wanted to buy one, he would have to find his daughter, Zhao Jing'er, who had married into a rich family. If he asked her for a few more taels, he might be able to buy one. On the way back, Zhao Wenshui kept thinking about this matter. In any case, he could not be alone and be laughed at like his relative, Zhao Ping, who was a bachelor. Only with a woman could he do that at night and have someone to cook for him and wash his clothes. Because he was lost in thought, Zhao Wenshui did not see the stone under his feet. He tripped and fell to the ground, his chin heavily hitting the ground. Ouch! Zhao Wenshui cried out in pain. Then he found that there was a bloody taste in his mouth. Zhao Wenshui quickly touched his mouth and found that one of his teeth had been knocked out. With a gentle pull of his finger, the tooth fell out of his mouth. Seeing the blood on his hand, Zhao Wenshui could not help but feel wronged and started crying. He touched his mouth again and found that it was his front tooth that had fallen out. If he turned around and opened his mouth, people would see and laugh at him. Why was he so unlucky? Everything had been going wrong recently, and he finally came to talk to Chen Chuanxiu about it. Not only was he chased away, but he even knocked out his front tooth on the way. His face was almost disfigured. He didn't have much ability to begin with, and his face was barely passable. If his face was disfigured, how could he charm other women? The pain continued to spread throughout his body. After a while, Zhao Wenshui slowly got up from the ground. How unlucky. God, can't you open your eyes a little? You'll only be happy when you see me in such a miserable state. How infuriating. What God? I think he's just a scoundrel. He must be blind. As soon as Zhao Wenshui finished speaking, he slipped again and fell heavily to the ground. Just now, he had only knocked out one of his front teeth and it was not a serious injury. Now that he had recovered, his arm was dislocated and he grimaced in pain. Zhao Wenshui's vision turned black, and his divine sense was somewhat blurry. Zhao Wenshui raised his hand and accidentally rubbed against someone's poop on the side of the road, and a foul smell entered his nostrils. After going through this torment, Zhao Wenshui almost collapsed. What on earth had he been through? He had not encountered any unlucky things in the past few years, but he had encountered them in one day. Now he fell to the ground and could not move at all. He could not support himself. Chapter 1996. Because Zhao Wenshui had knocked out one of his front teeth, he had a lisp when he spoke. There was no one else on the road, so he could only lie on the ground. He hoped that someone from the village would pass by and see him so that someone could send him back. At Ma Xiaofeng's house, Chen Chuanxiu heaved a sigh of relief after seeing Zhao Wenshui leave. Ma Xiaofeng put down the knife in her hand and walked to Chen Chuanxiu. She reminded her, "Mother, don't bother with this kind of person next time. If he dares to come to our house again, just chop him to death with a knife just like what I did today. Let's see if he dares to do it again." Chen Chuanxiu sighed and replied, "Little Feng, I understand. I won't let him come again." "Yes, mother, our family is different now. We have to be careful. Our reputation is already bad, so we can't stand being talked about again. It's fine if it's just the two of us. It doesn't matter if others say it or not, but we have to think about Xiaoyu. Xiaoyu is ostracized by the other children in the village and is often bullied. It's not easy for her." Ma Xiaofeng felt very guilty when she thought of Ma Xiaoyu. If it weren't for her and her mother, she wouldn't have been bullied so much. Although Ma Xiaoyu didn't come back to tell her about the grievances she suffered outside, she would occasionally see it with her own eyes. "Mother knows. We've let Xiaoyu down. It's best if we earn more money in the future and move out of the village. We can buy a house somewhere else where no one knows us and there won't be those rumors." Chen Chuanxiu sighed. Ma Xiaofeng happened to have this plan. Ma Xiaofeng wanted to buy a small residence in Yang City. It didn't need to be big, just 2 or 3 rooms would do. Not only would it be convenient for business, but she could also send Ma Xiaoyu to school to study. In this era, only by studying could one succeed and get their family out of this predicament. Of course, the most important thing was to leave the village and not be mocked by others. "Mother, we've slowly accumulated some money now. Although a house in Yang City is very expensive, we'll definitely be able to afford it in a few years." "Yes, maybe it won't even take a few years." "Why not a few years?" Chen Chuanxiu asked curiously. Ma Xiaofeng explained, "Mother, it's Zhao Ping'er and Qin Yuan who want to open a restaurant in Yang City. When the time comes they'll bring me along and give me shares. However, I won't be able to pay that much for the restaurant. The dividends might be lower, but it'll definitely be more profitable than setting up a stall in Yang City. Hearing about opening a restaurant, Qian Chuanxiu immediately became excited. She had also heard of the big restaurants in Sun City. Opening a restaurant was very profitable and many of them were eaten by the rich. As long as it was done well and the business was good, there was no need to worry about not making money. If he set up a stall, he would at most earn a few taels of silver a day. If he opened a restaurant, it was not impossible for him to earn a few hundred taels of silver a day. After the dividends were distributed, it was indeed quite a lot. 2 or 3 large houses in Yang City cost around 1 to 200 taels. With the money earned from the restaurant's dividends, it wouldn't take long for them to be bought. Qian Chuanxiu happily muttered, "Good, good, good, this is good. Opening a restaurant will make a lot of money. I hope to earn more." Yes, yes. Oh right, Xiaofeng, opening a restaurant requires a lot of money. Where did Zhao Ping'er and Qin Yuan get so much money to open a restaurant? Qian Chuanxiu's eyes were filled with confusion. Chapter 1997. Qian Chuanxiu opened her mouth. Why would Zhao Ping'er's aunt, Zhao Xinhui, give money to the couple to open a restaurant? Although Qian Chuanxiu didn't know the reason, she didn't ask too much. Because the reason had nothing to do with her. As long as the restaurant was open and they could make money, everything would be fine. Well, you should look for it as soon as possible. Once you find it, open it quickly. Mother can also benefit from it. Qian Chuanxiu said expectantly. Since Ma Xiaofeng was involved in opening the restaurant, their family naturally had a share in the restaurant. She could boast in the village that her daughter was capable and now opened a restaurant. Ma Xiaofeng nodded in response. Got it, mother. We're also looking for it now. We found a few that we like. After negotiating the price, it should be enough. That's good, that's good. Thinking of this, Qian Chuanxiu's heart surged with happiness. Her life was getting better and better. Although she had suffered from those disasters and those rumors, her material conditions had greatly improved. Ma Xiaofeng suddenly thought of Zhao Wenshui's visit today. She didn't know why, so she asked a few questions. Mother, why did Zhao Wenshui suddenly come over and pester you today? Qian Chuanxiu answered truthfully. He said that he divorced and wanted to marry me. He gave me 10 taels of silver as a betrothal gift and sent Xiaoyu to school in the future. Ma Xiaofeng snorted softly. Who does he think he is? Who cares about his money? Mother, he caused you so much trouble in the past. Don't agree. Qian Chuanxiu held Ma Xiaofeng's hand and said, Don't worry, mother is not stupid. How can I agree? We don't care about his money now. Yes, it's only 10 taels of silver. Who cares about it? We don't lack money now. But mother, I'm not against you getting married, but if you want to get married, you have to choose a reliable man. Don't just casually pick someone, especially someone like Zhao Wenshui. Qian Chuanxiu's heart was touched. She held Ma Xiaofeng's hand and said, Xiaofeng, mother is already so old. I won't marry again. Don't worry, mother will only protect you and Xiaoyu. Mother, how can that do? We didn't have a choice before. Now that we can live well, we have to think about ourselves. If we meet a good man, we can marry him. Ma Xiaofeng said with a frown. She knew very well that her mother was not very old. She was in her 30s or 40s. Women in their 30s were like wolves and in their 40s were like tigers. Although her mother didn't say it, nor did she mention it, Ma Xiaofeng knew in her heart that when her mother grew old, she would need a companion and someone to rely on. Ah, Xiaofeng, mother doesn't want to get married. I only want to protect you and Xiaoyu for the rest of my life. Aren't we living well now? Ma Xiaofeng pursed her lips. Yes, it is. But mother, if you want to get married one day, don't think about me and Xiaoyu. You have to think about yourself too. Qian Chuanxiu sighed heavily and looked at Ma Xiaofeng with heartache. Xiaofeng, don't talk about mother. You have to think about yourself. How about after we buy a house in Yang City and no one recognizes us? Mother will help you find a matchmaker, Xuan? Chapter 1998. Okay. I won't rush you. You can do whatever you want as long as you're happy. Qian Chuanxiu only felt sorry for Ma Xiaofeng. She knew that with her daughter's current condition, it would not be easy for her to find a good man. She just hoped that a miracle would happen in the future. The mother and daughter chatted for a while before entering the house. As for Zhao Wenshui, he lay on the ground for a long time without seeing anyone pass by. What the hell? Was there no one walking around the village at this time? Why was there not even a shadow of a ghost? It was really strange. Unfortunately, the pain in his body had only dissipated a little. Not only was his arm dislocated, but when he rolled up his trousers, he saw that the skin on his leg was also scraped. No wonder he could not get up despite the pain. Just as Zhao Wenshui was heartbroken and wanted to curse the heavens again, Zhao Ping passed by the roadside with a load of firewood. Zhao Wenshui saw Zhao Ping from afar and shouted excitedly, "Zhao Ping, Zhao Ping." His voice was still a little sluggish. Because he spoke in a hurry, saliva mixed with blood spurted out of Zhao Wenshui's mouth. Zhao Ping looked up and saw Zhao Ping on the ground. Because a tooth was knocked out, Zhao Wenshui's face was covered in blood. He looked like he had suffered a lot. Zhao Ping's heart tightened. He rushed to Zhao Wenshui and asked Zhao Wenshui, "Brother Wenshui, what happened to you? Did someone beat you up?" Zhao Wenshui put on a bitter face and said sadly, "It's not. Then what happened? You're hurt like this?" Zhao Ping asked. Zhao Wenshui did not know how to answer for a moment. If he said that he accidentally fell down, wouldn't it be even more embarrassing? There was no one in the entire village like him who could make someone fall so miserably while walking. If word got out, people would probably laugh at him for having eyes on the top of his head. Or perhaps he was blind and had wasted his eyes. Zhao Wenshui quickly changed the topic and begged Zhao Wenshui, "It's nothing. Zhao Ping, I'm in so much pain that I can't get up and my hand is dislocated. Can you send me back?" Zhao Ping hurriedly replied, "Good, good, good. Brother Wenshui, I'm coming." With that, Zhao Ping helped Zhao Wenshui up from the ground. He accidentally touched Zhao Wenshui's arm and Zhao Wenshui screamed in pain. "Zhao Ping, be gentle. You're hurting me." Zhao Ping said somewhat embarrassedly, "Brother Wenshui, I'm sorry. I didn't notice that I was a bit heavy-handed. Are you all right?" "I'm about to die from the pain, how can I be fine?" Zhao Wenshui complained, feeling that Zhao Ping was doing it on purpose. He clearly saw that he was injured like this. Why couldn't he be gentler? Why did he have to be so forceful? "Brother Wenshui, just bear with it. You'll be fine after we call a doctor to check on you," Zhao Ping comforted him. However, Zhao Wenshui's reaction was a bit too exaggerated. He was a grown man. If he was injured, so be it. There was no need to open his mouth and complain about the pain. He saw that many men's arms were broken, but they did not make a sound. What bad luck. Zhao Wenshui muttered a few words and spat out a mouthful of blood. Zhao Ping had to help Zhao Wenshui walk, but he also had to be careful not to hurt him. The two of them moved very slowly, and it took a while for them to reach old Zhao's courtyard. Chapter 1999. Zhao Yun came to old Zhao's house to discuss the preparation of the banquet with Feng Zhangxia. They were waiting for Zhao Qianhu's wedding preparations. Now that Zhao Qianhu's wedding was almost done, he would go to the bride's house to pick Jinju up in 2 days. During these days, the first branch's people had made some preparations. Zhao Qianhu's wedding room had also been prepared, so the conditions for picking up the bride were naturally ripe. Zhao Qianhu was also at the side with a shy face. After so many days, he had been looking forward to marrying Jinju. Now his wish had finally been fulfilled. Now, as long as he thought about having a wife, Zhao Qianhu was extremely excited. Feng Zhangxia was also very concerned about her son's wedding. As long as Zhao Yun told her what she needed, she would carefully remember it. "Yun girl, do you need anything else? Think about it, don't leave anything behind. Otherwise it would be troublesome to make another trip to town." Zhao Yun shook her head. "No, just buy according to these." "Okay then." Feng Zhangxia calculated in her heart. Buying these things and arranging them would cost a total of 3 taels of silver. After all, there were also things to give to the bride's side. Marrying a wife was not an easy thing, and the expenses were very high. Fortunately, she had gotten 15 taels of silver from Zhao Wenshui. With this money she would be richer. Originally she had planned to build a house, but now she thought about it and decided not to. Building a house was not a small expense. Although she did not have to see Zhao Wenshui every day, it made her family's life difficult. Now there was not much time before Zhao Tianlong's examination. Once Zhao Tianlong passed the examination, he would be able to become an official. At that time they would not need to live in the shabby house in the countryside. They would definitely move together to a big house in the city. In this way it would be a waste to build a separate house in the countryside. It was better to use the silver to buy more delicious food during this period of time to improve the quality of life at home. When they were almost done discussing, they heard Zhao Wenshui's cries from afar. When he looked towards the entrance of the courtyard, he saw that Zhao Wenshui had returned with injuries all over his body. He looked extremely miserable. He didn't know if Zhao Wenshui had been beaten up or something. However, no one in old Zhao's family cared about Zhao Wenshui even though he was badly injured. They all knew that Zhao Wenshui was a bastard. He deserved it no matter how much pain he suffered. Feng Zhangxia glanced at Zhao Wenshui and saw that one of Zhao Wenshui's teeth was knocked out. She was angry and disgusted at the sight of Zhao Wenshui, so she pretended to care about him and asked, "Hey, second brother, what happened to you? Who beat you so hard? Could it be that you've offended someone again by running out?" Zhao Wenshui was in so much pain that he did not have the strength to speak. Of course he did not want to speak. Zhao Ping explained, "Sister-in-law, I saw brother Wenshui's injuries on the way here. I don't know what happened. It seems like his teeth are knocked out, his arm is dislocated, and there are scars on his legs. It's really tragic. Why don't you help him into the house? Also help him find a doctor to take a look at him. These injuries have to be treated properly, otherwise, it will be serious." Old Zhao's family was gloating over Zhao Wenshui's injuries. They were too happy to care about him. After all, his life and death had nothing to do with them. Chapter 2000. Zhao Ping frowned and said worriedly, "But sister-in-law, brother Wenshui's injury is really serious. If it's not treated properly, the wound will fester and it may even harm his life. His hand is also dislocated. We have to call a doctor to reattach it as soon as possible. Otherwise, what if his hand is damaged and he can't use it?" Feng Zhangxia snorted and said, "Zhao Ping, why did you care about him? He must have suffered the consequences of his own actions. He deserves it. We don't have the obligation to care about him." "But..." Zhao Ping frowned and glanced at Zhao Wenshui, then at Feng Zhangxia. He sighed and said, "Don't you care about brother Wenshui now? Zhao Ping, don't drag us down with you. We don't have the time or energy to care about him," Feng Zhangxia said and turned to enter the house, not giving Zhao Ping a chance to continue. Zhao Yuner almost laughed when she saw Zhao Wenshui like this. She was very curious about who would get rid of a scourge for the people and beat up Zhao Wenshui like this. Zhao Tianhu originally wanted to help Zhao Wenshui and call a doctor for Zhao Wenshui. However, after Feng Zhangxia saw through Zhao Tianhu's thoughts, she shouted at Zhao Tianhu, "Tianhu, what are you doing outside? Come in quickly. I still have to discuss with you what happened on your wedding day." Zhao Tianhu glanced at Zhao Wenshui, then sighed and silently entered the house. Zhao Ping frowned. He was very curious about what was wrong with old Zhao's family. Zhao Wenshui was injured like this, so why were they so indifferent? "Brother Wenshui, I still have something to do and I have to go back. I have to help someone with the work later. I'm afraid I won't be able to make it. Can you see if anyone in your family can take care of you?" Zhao Ping asked Zhao Wenshui. He had originally planned to only send Zhao Wenshui back. He had other things to do, so how could he care so much? Unfortunately, when he arrived at old Zhao's house, he encountered such a situation. Zhao Wenshui stuttered, You call my father and my mother." He had knocked out a tooth and injured his mouth. If he spoke a little louder, his mouth would hurt badly. Zhao Ping replied, "All right, I'll shout." "Yes." Zhao Ping shouted towards old Zhao's courtyard, "Second uncle, second aunt, are you home? Can you come out for a while?" After hearing Zhao Ping's voice, Hua Chunhua poked her head out of the house. "What are you doing?" "Second aunt, brother Wenshui is injured. Quickly come out and take a look. Get a doctor for him. I have to go now. Take good care of her." When Hua Chunhua heard this, she glanced at Zhao Wenshui who was beside Zhao Ping. It would have been better if she hadn't seen him, but she was shocked when she saw him. Zhao Wenshui didn't look like a human at all. He looked like a ghost. Although she didn't like Zhao Wenshui, she couldn't bear to see Zhao Wenshui being bullied like this. Hua Chunhua immediately yelled at the top of her voice, "I say, Lao Air, what happened to you? You look like a ghost." Zhao Ping hurriedly said, "Second aunt, don't ask so much. Get a doctor for brother Wenshui first and treat his injury." Chapter 2001. However, Zhao Wenshui dilly-dallied and did not say anything. Hua Chunhua immediately became anxious and urged him, "Don't be like a dead man. Hurry up and tell me. Once you tell me, I'll go ask for the money. Otherwise, they won't admit it if you drag it on too long. I'd like to see which savage bastard hit me so hard. If he knows how to hit someone, then he should know the consequences." Zhao Wenshui's face was bitter. How was he supposed to answer this? Could he say that the arrogant bastard was himself? His mother was really too much. She had not even figured it out and was already secretly scolding him. "Mother, my mouth hurts." Zhao Wenshui pointed at his bloody mouth with his other hand that was not dislocated. Hua Chunhua said somewhat angrily, "So what if your mouth hurts? Can't you say a name? Mother. It wasn't someone else who did it. I fell down myself, Zhao Wenshui said with a lisp. His teeth had fallen out and he was leaking air too much. Huo Chuanhua's face darkened for a moment. She muttered loudly, "What? Did you fall on your own? Oh my god, Wenshui, you're really interesting. How could you fall down like this? We can't find a talent like you in our entire village." Zhao Wenshui naturally knew that Huo Chuanhua was being sarcastic. He replied pitifully, "Mother, I'm already like this. You don't feel sorry for me but you keep blaming me?" Huo Chuanhua spat on the ground. "If you were beaten up like this by someone else, it wouldn't hurt to feel sorry for you. But Wenshui, what's there to feel sorry for when you fell down yourself like this? It's all your fault for not having good eyesight. You're worse than a blind person with a pair of eyes. Even a blind person is not as stupid as you." After being scolded by Huo Chuanhua, Zhao Wenshui felt like he had lost all face. In any case, he was a man. How could his mother treat him like a child and scold him? Really? Zhao Ping, who was listening from the side, felt a little awkward. He pursed his lips and said to Huo Chuanhua, "Sister-in-law, don't scold brother Wenshui anymore. He's seriously injured now. It's better to let him go back and rest well. After that, we'll invite a doctor over to take a look." Huo Chuanhua glanced at Zhao Wenshui and replied grumpily, "Who cares about him? It's better for a useless thing to die in the house. It's so annoying to look at him." "Mother?" Zhao Wenshui called out. If his mother didn't care about him, then who would care about him? Huo Chuanhua turned around and went back into the house. Zhao Ping was stunned. From the looks of it, could it be that Huo Chuanhua was ignoring Zhao Wenshui? Was she really not going to play with Zhao Wenshui's life and death? After all, she was Zhao Wenshui's mother. Why did the whole family become so strange? Zhao Wenshui was injured like this, but no one was worried about him. No one came out to help. He shouted a few more times, but still no one came out. Zhao Ping was a little helpless. He had to send Zhao Wenshui into the house. However, he really couldn't find a doctor. He said to Zhao Wenshui apologetically, "Brother Wenshui, wait and see if anyone in your family can help you find a doctor. If not, I'll help you call Dr. Sun when I come back from work. I really can't spare the time now." Zhao Wenshui responded sadly. He had never been as desperate as he was now. It was really sad that the whole family was like this. Chapter 2002. Seeing that Zhao Ping was leaving, Zhao Yun caught up with Zhao Ping since it was on the way. Zhao Ping smiled at Zhao Yun. "Yun, you're here too." "Yeah." Zhao Yun responded. "How's the kitten I sent to you now? Is it alive?" Zhao Ping was a little concerned about the kitten's life. The cubs that he had at home were almost all dead. There was no other way. If the old cat didn't have food, it wouldn't have milk. How could the little cubs survive? Zhao Yun responded, "Yeah, it's well now. It's a lot fatter than before." Zhao Ping's face was filled with relief. He smiled and said, "That's good, that's good. That's right." Zhao Ping voiced out the doubts in his heart. "Yun, girl, do you know what happened between your grandmother, your aunt, and your second uncle? Why is it that your second uncle is so badly injured, but the whole family doesn't care about him at all?" Speaking of this, Zhao Yun smiled and said, "Uncle Zhao, if it weren't for you, no one would care about my second uncle's life or death." Zhao Ping was even more puzzled. "Why is that?" Zhao Yun told Zhao Ping about Zhao Wenshui's matter. Although family scandals shouldn't be aired in public, Zhao Yun knew that Zhao Ping was very tight-lipped. As a man, he wasn't like those women who liked to gossip. After hearing Zhao Yun's words, Zhao Ping opened his mouth and sighed. He was wondering why Feng Zhangxia was so hostile to Zhao Wenshui. Most people wouldn't like Zhao Wenshui. How could he do such a thing? It turned out that this was the reason why Li Chuang and Zhao Wenshui divorced. Zhao Ping cursed in a low voice, "So he's really worse than a beast." Looking at Zhao Ping's behavior, he knew that he was a righteous person. When others were in trouble, he did not hesitate to help. He was really a good man. Zhao Yun smiled and said, "So, Uncle Zhao, next time you don't have to care about his life or death. As the saying goes, good deeds have good karma, and evil deeds have evil karma. What he ate today is the cause he planted in the past." Zhao Ping felt that Zhao Yun's words were very reasonable. No wonder Zhao Wenshui could fall like this. It seemed that God had deliberately punished him. Yes, Yun girl, I understand. I won't interfere in this matter in the future." Zhao Yun nodded, and the two of them went their separate ways. The weather had become much hotter in the past few days, and it had officially entered the scorching summer. In order to sleep better at night, Zhao Yun would make some ice cubes every day and put them in the room to cool down. It was indeed more comfortable at night. During this time she had also made a lot of iced sweet soup. The family did not eat much, but everyone would drink a lot of iced sweet soup. However, if they were not careful they would easily have diarrhea. Zhao Yuner had to watch them every day and chase after them to remind them. Only then did they control themselves a little. Especially Liang Jinxiao. After all, she was pregnant, so Zhao Yuner did not dare to let her eat food that was too cold. Soon it was the big day of Zhao Tianhu's wedding. The people of the first branch were very generous and arranged a very grand ceremony. They specially rented a sedan chair and spent a few hundred copper coins to bring them back. The people were all recruited from the village. There were more than a dozen people in the wedding procession, and several of old Zhao's uncles and nephews were all present. Zhao Wenhua and Zhao Wentao directly became the sedan bearers. The two of them carried the sedan chair and it was more than enough to carry Jinju. Chapter 2003. This way they could save the first branch's wages. If they found someone else to carry the sedan chair, they would have to pay at least a few dozen copper coins. Later they would ask the first branch to give the two brothers more wine to drink. They were a family and it was Zhao Tianhu's big day. Naturally they wouldn't care so much. Zhao Tianhu was wearing a bright red wedding dress. Feng Zhangxia had specially brought Zhao Tianhu to the town to make this wedding dress. Originally, she was reluctant to make this wedding dress for Zhao Tianhu. Later, after she received the 15 taels of silver from Zhao Wenshui, she happened to have some money in her hands. Thus, she gritted her teeth and decided to hold a grand wedding. She spent nearly 1 tael of silver to make this wedding dress. As the saying goes, people rely on clothes and Buddha relies on gold. Usually, Zhao Tianhu wore coarse clothes and didn't feel very handsome. This time, after changing into a wedding dress and dressing up a little, his entire spirit was completely different. He looked extraordinarily handsome. Among the young men in the village, he was definitely outstanding in appearance. Zhao Yuner stared at Zhao Tianhu a few more times and revealed a satisfied expression. Zhao Tianhu was a little embarrassed by Zhao Yuner's gaze. He asked Zhao Yun, younger sister Yun, why do you keep staring at me? What's so good about me? Zhao Yuner teased, isn't that so? Second cousin is so handsome today. How can I not look at you a few more times? If you ask me, second cousin is going to pick up the bride like this, the bride will definitely be infatuated. Zhao Tianhu was originally a thin-skinned person. After being praised by Zhao Yuner, his ears turned red. He lowered his head and said, younger sister Yun, don't tease me. How can I be considered handsome? Compared to Shi Ziyi it's like heaven and earth. I can't compare at all. There's no need to compare with Shi Ziyi. Second cousin is indeed handsome compared to the other men in the village. Eldest aunt, fourth aunt, don't you think so? Both of them chuckled and replied, yes, 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 of course. My Tianhu has never been so handsome. It seems that it's because he doesn't dress up on weekdays. It's not bad to dress up a little. Yes, our old Zhao's children are the best in appearance in the village. Mother, fourth aunt. Feng Zhangxia and Chen Hongzhao's words made Zhao Tianhu even more. Feng Zhangxia patted Zhao Tianhu's shoulder and said, all right bridegroom, if you're ready then set off quickly. Don't miss the auspicious hour. Zhao Tianhu blushed as he responded, but in his heart he was looking forward to bringing the bride back soon. Today's Zhao Yunzss, he heard that the bride's day was the most beautiful day in a woman's life. At this moment he couldn't wait to see Jinju as soon as possible. He wanted to see how she dressed up. Mother, I'm going. Zhao Tianhu waved his hand and walked out of the room. The other people in the wedding procession were walking, but Zhao Tianhu was riding a horse. This horse was borrowed from Mu Lianfeng as they had discussed before. When they were young they rode a horse to pick up the bride. This was something that only rich families would do. Zhao Tianhu could ride a horse to pick up the bride this time. Naturally he had earned more face. Feng Zhangxia looked at the handsome back on the horse, and her mouth hooked up with a satisfied smile. It was estimated that after today many people in the village would envy the first branch. Feng Qingxia's vanity was greatly satisfied. Chapter 2004. Zhao Tianhu originally didn't know how to ride a horse, but for today's wedding he had been practicing under Mu Lianfeng's guidance. Although his skills weren't that good, it wasn't a problem for him to use it for the wedding. The rest of the people followed behind the palanquin. Soon the group of people left the village and rushed towards the bride's village. Old Zhao's family didn't fall behind either. Zhao Yun went into the kitchen and started preparing. She was once again in charge of the banquet. This time there were still many guests attending the banquet. Even Shin Pan'er's parents and the first branch's in-laws came to celebrate. After all, it was Zhao Tianhu's wedding. It would be too distant if they didn't attend such a joyous occasion that concerned the first branch. The Shin family wasn't very willing to live in such a remote place. After arriving and seeing the situation of old Zhao's family, they felt even more distressed for their son and daughter who had to suffer in such a place. Fortunately, Zhao Tianlong had taken the imperial examination this year. The probability of him passing the imperial examination was very high. They also waited until the clouds parted to see the moon. The bitter days would soon come to an end. Once Shin Pan became the wife of an official, she naturally wouldn't have to suffer in such a remote place. In addition to bringing money as a gift, the Shin family was very generous and brought a lot of good things. Of course, most of them were for their daughter. Since they couldn't eat well in the countryside, they brought some of Shin Pan'er's and Zhao Yangyang's favorite snacks. There were pastries, candied fruits, beef jerky, peanuts and other things. The carriage stopped outside old Zhao's courtyard. The villagers rarely saw such a grand carriage, so they began to talk about it. What kind of important person came to old Zhao's family? Who knows? Old Zhao's family knows too many rich people. They even have a relationship with the Shitzi. What's so strange about the rest? That's true. Old Zhao's family now is different from before. Everyone in the Shitzi branch got lucky and suddenly became rich. Didn't I say that it's because the ancestral tomb was well repaired and blessed by the old ancestor in heaven? Otherwise, how could it be like this? As soon as she heard about the matter of repairing the ancestral grave, Wuxia, who had come to join in the fun, was a little unhappy. They had also built ancestral tombs, but why hadn't their branch prospered like Zhao Baoshan's branch? Madame Hu pushed Zhao Baojun angrily. Zhao Baojun staggered and almost fell to the ground. She unhappily said to Wuxia, "I say, woman, why did you push me? I almost fell because of you. I'm already so old. If I fall on the ground, my bones will be scattered by you. Aren't you afraid of killing me?" Madame Hu coldly snorted, "You deserve it if you fall to your death." Zhao Baojun was a little annoyed. "I say, you old woman, what are you doing? Why are you throwing a tantrum at me for no reason? When did I offend you? You're always provoking me. Just looking at you makes me angry. It's all your fault, you useless thing. You're definitely not favored by the old ancestor. Look at the children of second brother's branch, they're all so rich. Our branch didn't get any benefits at all. The old ancestor didn't bless us at all." Zhao Baojun increasingly felt that Wuxia was looking for trouble. She was baffling. Chapter 2005. Madame Hu felt very uncomfortable in her heart, so she made an example of Zhao Baojun. Regardless of whether what he said was right or not, she would feel better if she found fault with him. How can it not be your fault? It must be because you weren't filial to your elders in the past and weren't liked by them. After they died, they didn't remember to bless you. Because of that, our branch didn't get any benefits after building the tomb. Look, your second son's branch has all become rich. When Tianhu got married, he had a big bridal sedan and even rode a horse. He had earned a lot of prestige. Tell me, in comparison, don't you think our branch is too shabby? Madame Hu said angrily. She was very envious of old Zhao's family. Zhao Baojun felt a little uncomfortable when he heard this. The second branch was rich now. What could he do? Even if he was envious and jealous, what was the use? In any case, it couldn't be blamed on him. Instead of being envious of others, it was better to think about how their branch could become rich. You old woman, I think you're just looking for trouble. You have to push the blame to me. Didn't our third and fourth branches also build tombs? I didn't see them become rich. Really? Zhao Baojun replied in dissatisfaction. Madame Hu wanted to make a fuss, but Zhao Baojun's words stopped her. Don't make a fuss. It was originally fine, but because of your fuss, we became a joke to others. Madame Hu looked around and saw that many people's eyes fell on her. Some of them even covered their mouths and secretly laughed. Only then did Madame Hu shut her mouth resentfully. At this time, a few people came out of the carriage parked in front of old Zhao's house. They were Shin Pan'er's family. There was a middle-aged man in his 40s and a woman in her 40s. However, because their family was rich, the two of them were dressed luxuriously and had a very different temperament from the country people. Especially Shin Pan'er's mother, Madame Yang. Compared to Feng Zhangxia, Madame Yang was well dressed. Her clothes and jewelry were not bad, and she probably had rouge on her face. She looked very young and there were no wrinkles on her face. She still looked pretty. The people in the courtyard saw this, especially the men. They stared at Madame Yang with a hint of amazement in their eyes. They thought that rich people were indeed rich people. If their wives could dress up like this, it would be great. Every day when they went home, they would see a beautiful woman and not an old woman. Madame Yang ignored these people and walked towards old Zhao's courtyard with Shin Pan'er's father, Shin Wan. The coachman behind them carried some boxes filled with gifts. "Sister-in-law, your in-laws are here. Why don't you hurry up and entertain them?" Qian Zans saw them and hurriedly greeted Feng Zhangxia. "What? My in-laws are here?" Feng Zhangxia, who was still busy in the kitchen, suddenly stopped what she was doing. "Yes, he's in the courtyard. Get out of here." "All right." Feng Zhangxia was a little excited. She quickly wiped her hands with a rag and rushed into the courtyard. As soon as she saw the Shin family, she immediately put on a smile. "In-laws, you're here. It's so troublesome to come all the way here." Of course, Feng Zhangxia was just being polite. In her heart, she was looking forward to the Shin family's arrival. Not to mention other things, they would definitely bring some gifts. They would also give Zhao Tianhu's wedding gift. Chapter 2006. This way their family would naturally make a profit. Thinking of the good things and money, Feng Zhangxia's smile widened. The Shin family also replied politely, "Tianlong's younger brother is getting married. This is a joyous occasion for your family. As in-laws, how can we not come?" Madame Yang also replied, "Yes, it's a joyous occasion for your family. As in-laws, we naturally have to come and join in the fun. We haven't seen Pan and Yang for a while. This time we can also take a look at them." Feng Zhangxia laughed and replied, That's good, that's good. Pan and Yang are always talking about you at home." "Yes," Madame Yang replied. However, she snorted coldly in her heart. With old Zhao's current condition, her daughter and grandson were suffering. How could they not talk about them? Especially Yang. Such a young child had to eat more delicious food to nourish his body and grow taller and fatter. She saw that the children from the poor families were not as fair and tender. They were far from being comparable to the children from the rich families. Feng Zhangxia hurriedly invited Shin Wan and Madame Yang into the house to sit. Then she poured 2 cups of cold water and said, "In-laws, you must be tired from the journey. Drink some water first." "Okay." Madame Yang took the cup, but she frowned in disgust. The things used by the villagers were shabby, so they were a little dirty. Madame Yang was a clean person and was a little obsessed with cleanliness. Therefore, she looked at the cup that Feng Zhangxia handed her with disdain. However, she was indeed a little thirsty. Madame Yang took out her handkerchief and wiped the cup before reluctantly drinking the water inside. Feng Zhangxia looked at them awkwardly. She was not a fool. How could she not see that Madame Yang was disdainful of her family? However, she could not say it out loud. Who asked them to be from a rich family? They were very particular about the things they used. It was normal for them to look down on the things that the villagers used. After comparing, Feng Zhangxia hoped that Zhao Tianlong would be able to stand out and become a high-ranking official in the future. Then, her life would be more particular. In-laws, please take a seat first. Panner and Yang are both in the room. I'll go call them out," Feng Zhangxia said. Madame Yang smiled and nodded. "All right, then I'll have to trouble you, in-law." I'm fine. Feng Zhangxia hurriedly waved her hand. She then went to Shin Panner's room and greeted her. "Pan, your parents are here. Let's go out and have a chat." When Shin Pan'er heard this, she replied excitedly, "Okay." Then she carried Zhao Yang out of the room. Seeing this family's daughter and grandson, Shin Wan and Madame Yang immediately smiled. The family sat together and chatted. Seeing that Zhao Yang was closer to Madame Yang than to her, Feng Zhangxia felt a little uncomfortable. Zhao Yang's surname was Zhao, and he was her biological grandson. Logically speaking, he should be closer to her. After all, he had only spent a little more time with her on a daily basis. Most people's grandchildren and the elders of the bride's family were a little more distant. Only their family was a little abnormal. Thinking about it, it was because the Shin family was rich and the Zhao family was poor. Zhao Yang's snacks were all bought by the Shin family. Children were gluttons. Wouldn't they nag at whoever bought the most? Chapter 2007. In-laws, please take a seat first. I still have to go to the kitchen and prepare for the banquet." Feng Zhangxia pursed her lips and said. The Shins nodded. "Yes, my dear in-laws, please go ahead. We don't have anything to entertain you here." Okay. Feng Zhangxia smiled and went out of the house. She went back to the kitchen to prepare for the banquet. The kitchen was bustling with activity as she cut the vegetables and prepared the side dishes. They were just waiting for the bridegroom to bring the bride back and then they could prepare for the banquet. Zhao Yun'er and Liang Jinxiao came to help with the wedding today. Liang Jinxiao helped. Because she was pregnant, Zhao Yun'er did not dare to let her be too busy, so she washed the vegetables. After a while more and more people came. The weather was hot and the men worked in the fields in the morning. At 8 or 9 o'clock when the sun came out, they would be sweating just by doing a little work. At this time they could not do much work. After resting at home for a while, they all went to old Zhao's house to watch the show. At this time, the bridegroom's procession had arrived at Jinju's village. The wedding of Jinju's daughter was also very lively. However, Mrs. Zhou did not treat Jinju very well usually. Everyone in the village was afraid that Mrs. Zhou, as a stepmother, would mistreat Jinju in the wedding. Therefore many people in the village came to watch the show. They wanted to see what kind of family the bridegroom was and whether the marriage for Jinju was good. Mrs. Zhou also knew that it was difficult to be a stepmother. If today's wedding was not respectable enough, there would be gossip about her in the village. They would say that she was heartless and mistreated her stepdaughter. Although she did not care much about what others said, it did not feel good to be criticized wherever she went. Who did not want to have a good reputation? Jinju helped with a lot of work at home. If you mistreated Jinju in the wedding, you would really be criticized. Compared to directly bringing Jinju to others, earning temporary benefits and ruining her reputation, Mrs. Zhou was more far-sighted. If he married Jinju to a good family, wouldn't she also be able to enjoy a good life in the future? Although Jinju was not her daughter, she was the daughter of her father. During the holidays, if Jinju missed her father, she would send some money and good things back. These things would also fall into her hands. Zhou Damei, you said before that you helped Jinju find a good husband. Is that true or false? In the courtyard of the Jin family, a woman in her 40s or 50s shouted at Zhou Damei. Zhou Damei's face sank. She knew that these people deliberately said this to see if it was true or not. If the in-laws who came today were not good, these people would definitely seize the opportunity to scold them. Of course it's true. My family's Jew is very satisfied. Even if it's not good, she'll still say it's good. Zhou Damei replied. He directly pushed the matter of finding a husband to Jinju, saying that Jinju was willing to do it. In this way no one could say anything. Zhou Damei, we all know that you usually don't like Ju the most. This time you're in a good mood and let her choose her own husband. Someone mocked. Chapter 2008. Everyone laughed for a moment. Alright. Zhou Damei, don't pretend in front of us. We all know how you treat Ju. It's not something you can say with just a few words. Zhou Damei said angrily, you gossipy old women, you haven't even seen the person coming to pick up the bride, and you're already talking about Juer's in-laws. Can't we talk about it after we see them? Okay, let's wait and see. It should be soon. The people in the courtyard were waiting. If the person coming to pick up the bride was not good, there would be people talking about Zhou Damei. Zhou Damei turned and entered the house, afraid that she would hear the gossips of those gossipy old women in the courtyard. At this time, Jinju had already dressed up and was sitting in front of the stool. She was wearing a wedding dress and dressed up a little. She could be regarded as a beautiful woman. The main thing was that she had a good foundation and looked delicate. Zhou Damei's eyes suddenly lit up and she praised Jinju. Ah, Ju girl, you're dressed up so well today. You're not worse than those rich young ladies in the town. Being praised like this, especially by Zhou Damei, it was rare to hear praise from her mouth. Jinju's face slightly blushed. Mother? Where am I good looking? Good looking, of course you're good looking. You're much prettier than the other girls in the village. If the bridegroom sees this, he'll be infatuated with you tonight and kneel under your pomegranate skirt. Zhou Damei said directly. Jinju also understood what she meant, and her face blushed even more. Zhou Damei smiled. Juer girl, what's there to be embarrassed about? You're getting married today. This kind of adult thing must be experienced. Jinju shyly responded, and her face blushed even more. Zhou Damei took Jinju's hand and sighed. Ai Juer girl, seeing you get married and being able to marry into a good family, my conscience is happy for you. Although I'm not your biological mother, you're also not my biological daughter. But after being together for so long, we're still mother and daughter. Seeing you get married, my conscience is really reluctant. As she spoke, Zhou Damei actually shed tears. She used her sleeve to wipe the corners of her eyes. The first half of the sentence might have sounded fake, but the second half was true. Seeing Jinju get married, she naturally couldn't bear to part with her. After all, with Jinju around, Jinju could help with a lot of work. But once Jinju got married, she would be the only woman left in the family. She had to do everything herself. At her age, doing this kind of work must be exhausting. It wasn't as comfortable as when Jinju was at home. Jinju raised her head and looked at Zhou Damei. Her eyes were also red. Zhou Damei had treated her harshly all these years, but at least she didn't interfere in her marriage this time. Jinju was very grateful for this. Otherwise, if he casually sold her to others and let her live in poverty, she would not have any hope for the rest of her life. For her, at least she had endured the previous hardships. As long as she was with Zhao Tianhu, she believed that she and Zhao Tianhu would work hard together. Their future days would be better. Mother, you also take good care of yourself. Take good care of my father and brother. Although I'm married, I will miss you. When I have time, I will come back to see you. Jinju choked. Chapter 2009. It was also the first time Jinju was so close to Zhou Damei, so she wasn't used to it. However, she was about to leave this house soon. No matter how Zhou Damei held her hand, she wouldn't resist. At this time there was a lively noise outside the house. It was the sound of gongs and drums. Someone shouted outside, "The bridegroom is here, the bridegroom is here." Zhou Damei suddenly became excited and said to Jinju, "Juer, quickly prepare in the house and cover your head with the red veil. Mother will go out and take a look." Jinju nodded heavily, "Yes, mother." Zhou Damei went out of the house and took a look at the bridegroom's procession. It would have been better if she didn't see it. Once she saw it, she was shocked by the scene in front of her. Not only did old Zhao's people carry a sedan chair over, but Zhao Qianhu also rode a horse over to pick up the bride. The bridegroom's procession had more than 10 people, and they were beating gongs and drums. It was really very impressive. This made it seem like a rich family. Zhou Damei knew in her heart that although old Zhao's family conditions were good, they weren't rich to this extent. However, Zhao Qianhu's bridegroom's procession naturally gave their Jin family face. Especially those women who said that she treated Jinju harshly, their mouths must have been blocked and they couldn't say anything. Seeing Zhao Qianhu coming over, many people started to chatter. "Aya, this bridegroom's procession is amazing. It seems that Juer's stepmother really found her conscience and married Juer to a good in-laws family. Isn't that so? This style, how many families can do it? Juer's in-laws family doesn't look simple. It's really strange. Why did this Zhou Damei suddenly become so kind-hearted and actually help Juer find a good in-laws family? In my opinion, it's not very strange. Maybe she felt that they were rich and wanted to climb up a good in-laws family. When Juer marries over, Zhou Damei's gift money will not be small. Otherwise, with her temperament, how could she casually marry Juer? That makes sense. Maybe she's relying on someone else's money. The man's family gave her a lot of money, so she naturally agreed. To put it bluntly, this Zhou Damei just wants money. Would she be so good without money? Zhou Damei was standing not far away. Hearing these women's discussion, she felt a little angry. No matter what she did, it would not end well for her, so she angrily rushed towards those women. "What nonsense are you talking about? You only know how to erase me. Little Juer got married, but I didn't get much benefit. The gift was only 3 taels of silver. Don't all the girls in our village get married at this price?" Zhou Damei, stop talking nonsense. Who would believe you? That's right, Zhou Damei. Who doesn't know that you're greedy and kind-hearted? Zhou Damei rolled up her sleeves angrily and said to the women, "I dare you to spout nonsense again. Your mouths are on your bodies, so you don't have to take responsibility for your nonsense?" Seeing this, old man Jin hurriedly came over and said, Okay, don't say any more. Sisters-in-law, what Damei said is true. Our family really only asked for 3 taels of silver as gift money this time. Although Damei usually does something wrong, but this time Juer really didn't lose out. Chapter 2010. This old man Jin usually likes to protect Zhou Damei and is a henpecked husband. Otherwise, Jinju has suffered so many grievances since Zhou Damei married into the Jin family. As long as old man Jin can make the decision to help Jinju, Jinju can suffer a lot less. But now it seems that Jinju's bitter days are coming to an end. This in-laws family is so big that it must be a good family. If Jinju can marry into such a family, she will definitely be able to enjoy life in the future. Zhou Damei's face is sullen. Her mood is a little bad because of these gossipy old women. Old man Jin pats Zhou Damei's shoulder. "Damei, you go to the house to accompany little Juer. Later you have to help little Juer out." I will take care of the wedding party. Zhou Damei nods. Okay, then I will go in. Zhou Damei says and turns to go into the house. An old man Jin walks towards the wedding party. The wedding party stops in the Jin family's courtyard. Zhao Qianhu jumped down from the horse's back and landed on the ground. Originally he is very handsome after dressing up, but now he looks even more handsome. Many young girls who come to join in the fun exclaim when they see Zhao Qianhu. Don't say little Ju is really lucky. The bridegroom has a dignified appearance and is extraordinarily handsome. There is no one more handsome than him in their village. Yes, I don't know how the Jin family found such a good marriage. Perhaps the heavens have blessed Jinju Lass. She has suffered too much over the years and has arranged a good marriage to compensate Jinju Lass. That is possible. Little Jinju has suffered so much. She can't continue to suffer for the rest of her life. Those who say this are all women. Those young girls who are full of love are all envious. If only I can find such a husband when I get married. Yes, his family is rich and handsome. Marrying such a man must be very happy, right? Seeing such a man makes me want to get married. As soon as the young girl's words fell, a woman next to her heard and slapped the young girl's head. The young girl exclaims and says to the woman discontentedly, "Mother, what are you doing? Why did you hit me?" The woman's face is calm as she reprimands. "What's wrong with hitting you? A 13 or 14-year-old girl is so shameless. Now you want to get married? Aren't you afraid of being laughed at? Mother, next time I hear you say these shameless things, see if I don't break your legs." The little girl bitterly shut her mouth, but reluctantly. She glances at Zhao Qianhu, she glances at her future husband to see Zhao Qianhu's appearance. "Uncle." Zhao Qianhu was a little nervous facing Old Man Jin, so he smiled and called out. Old Man Jin pretended to be angry and glared at Zhao Qianhu. "You child, what are you calling me? Are you still calling me uncle today?" Zhao Qianhu is stunned. Realizing that he called the wrong name, he shyly smiles and then calls Old Man Jin, "Father, that's right." Old Man Jin shows a satisfied smile. Chapter 2011. Coupled with the envious words he heard from the crowd, Old Man Jin felt that he had gained a lot of face. He was usually a prideful person. Now that his daughter was able to marry into a good family, others would definitely say that he was a good father-in-law. Zhao Wuxia stepped forward and greeted Old Man Jin. His son was getting married today, so Zhao Wuxia had specially changed into a new set of clothes. He was beaming with joy. "Haha, in-law." Old Man Jin also replied. "Your family is so grand today." Old Man Jin sighed. They must have spent a lot of money to make such a big show. However, the fact that the Zhao family was willing to spend this money was enough to show how much the Zhao family valued the Jin family. Zhao Wuxia smiled and replied, Of course. The marriage of 2 children is a big event. We, the Zhao family, will naturally do what we can." Yes. Wait a moment, the bride will be out soon." Old Man Jin said with a smile. Hearing Old Man Jin's words, Zhao Qianhu nervously rubbed his hands and looked in the direction of the house. At this moment he was especially looking forward to seeing what Jinju looked like. Thinking about Jinju's small face, he reckoned that she would be very beautiful today. At this moment, standing in the Jin family's courtyard and waiting, every second seemed to be prolonged. His heart was thumping non-stop. At this moment, Zhou Damei and Jinju were also preparing in the house. Zhou Damei covered Jinju with the red veil, then said, "Little Ju, the groom is here. It's time to take you away." Jinju responded shyly. Zhou Damei smiled and said, "I saw the groom when I went out of the house just now. The groom is very handsome today. The young ladies outside are all envious of you." Jinju, who was under the red veil, couldn't help but blush. Mother Qianhu isn't that handsome. It wasn't like she hadn't seen him before. How could she not know what Zhao Qianhu looked like? Zhou Damei smiled and said, "Isn't that so, little Ju? As the saying goes, clothes make the man. He dressed up a little today and he is indeed extraordinarily handsome. You didn't see it, but you'll know when you see it tonight." Speaking of the night, they would definitely consummate their marriage. Jinju felt a burst of shyness in her heart. Her hand tightly grasped the corner of her clothes. Zhou Damei continued, "Little Ju, this time we came to pick you up and even prepared a bridal sedan for you. That child, Qianhu, came here on horseback. You're definitely the best person to marry in our village, the most glorious. Your father and I are proud of you." Zhou Damei's tone was somewhat emotional. Jinju was slightly startled when she heard this, but the red veil couldn't hide the smile on her lips. Alright. Let's not talk about this anymore. Little Jinju, get ready to go. Zhou Damei helped Jinju up from the stool. A hint of reluctance emerged in her heart. Thinking of how she would have to do so much housework alone in the future, Zhou Damei's heart was extremely tired. Although she was a stepmother, Zhou Damei still had to put on an act. As soon as she sent Jinju out, Zhou Damei began to cry. Oh my little Ju, mother can't bear to see you get married. Little Ju, a married daughter is like spilled water. In the future when you go to old Zhao's house, you have to remember to come back to see me and your father. Little Ju, Chapter 2012. When the surrounding neighbors and onlookers saw Zhou Damei's appearance, they all felt that Zhou Damei was putting on an act. At this moment she was acting like her own mother. Usually Zhou Damei didn't have any good attitude towards Jinju. This Zhou Damei is too good at pretending. I can't stand it anymore. But her tears are real. I think Zhou Damei really can't bear to let Juer get married. If Juer gets married, what good can she get? She can't take care of the whole family by herself. How can she be so happy? That makes sense. So this is what Zhou Damei is crying about. Ai, poor Juer girl. The villagers' chatter didn't cover Zhou Damei's crying. Old man Jin's eyes turned red as he stood at the side. Zhou Damei may be hypocritical, but he, as a father, was not. After all, she was his daughter. Now that she was married, she was someone else's family. Raising such a big daughter would benefit someone else. Naturally, he was reluctant. Old man Jin pulled Jinju's hand. Girl, you're someone else's family now that you're married. Unlike at home, you have to be filial to your in-laws, understand? Don't let others say that our Jin family's daughter is not well educated. Jinju missed old man Jin the most. No matter what, he was still her biological father. Jinju sniffled and said in a choked voice, Father, I know. You and mother have to take good care of yourselves at home. I know. Don't worry about us. We'll be fine. Jinju responded. Zhao Qinhu felt his heart ache as he watched from the side. He swore to old man Jin, Father, don't worry. Since Ju is married to me, I will definitely treat her well. I will definitely not let her suffer. Old man Jin took a deep breath and sighed, That's good. The matchmaker urged, Okay, it's the auspicious time. Hurry up and let the bride get on the sedan chair. Don't delay the time. Old man Jin reluctantly let go of Jinju's hand. That's fine. Little Ju, take good care of yourself. Father has let you down for so many years. Now that I see that you've finally found a good husband, Father will feel less guilty when I see your mother in the afterlife. Father. Jinju's heart was even more uncomfortable. Before, she had some resentment towards old man Jin. But after hearing old man Jin's words, the hatred seemed to disappear. Sometimes one couldn't be too calculative. Old man Jin had a lot of faults, but he also had his good points. Bride, get into the sedan chair. The matchmaker pulled Jinju into the sedan chair. Old man Jin wiped at the corner of his eyes. As for Zhou Damei, she continued to pretend to rush over while shouting Jinju's name. You, is. Ju is. You crying like this? The child's heart must be uncomfortable. Zhao Qinhu hurriedly said to Zhou Damei, Mother, don't cry. I will bring Ju to see you often. Only then did Zhou Damei choke out a few words and respond. The matchmaker shouted, Okay. The auspicious time is here. Let's get up. Father, mother, then I'm leaving. Zhao Qinhu said. Chapter 2013. Let's go. Old man Jin muttered. Zhao Qinhu leaped onto the horse's back again. Then the horse walked in front, and the people carrying the sedan followed behind. After a while, the group of people left in a grandiose manner. Looking at the backs of these people leaving, old man Jin's gaze was somewhat reluctant to move away. At this time, Zhou Damei also wiped away her tears. Okay, Juer's mother, go busy yourself with the banquet. Our family's banquet can start now. Okay. Zhou Damei replied. The banquet would be busy for a while. Naturally, she couldn't handle it alone. She gave some money and invited a young wife in the village who knew how to cook. She let her cook for a while and called a few people to help her. Otherwise, this banquet wouldn't be able to be held at all. The people who came to drink today were all from the village and some relatives. The banquet could more or less earn some money. The wedding procession rushed in the direction of old Zhao's house. Zhao Qinhu sat on the horse's back, turning his head to look back from time to time. At this time, Jinju was sitting in the sedan with a red veil on her head. He didn't have the chance to look at Jinju even if he wanted to. He could only resentfully look away. At old Zhao's house, after waiting for some time, the wedding procession finally brought the bride back. Suddenly, the village was filled with lively voices. Someone shouted, "The bride is here, the bride is here." The adults stretched their heads to look, but the children rushed out immediately. Usually, on wedding occasions they would sprinkle candy. Children loved the candy, so naturally they would be greedy for the candy that was sprinkled. The people of the first branch were more prideful, so this time, they weren't stingy and bought a lot of candy. Seeing the children rushing over, Zhao Wunsher grabbed a handful and scattered it on the ground. The children immediately rushed up to snatch it. Today Zhao Wunsher saw the envious eyes of others along the way and felt even more proud. At this time he was very happy. The sisters-in-law in the kitchen stopped what they were doing and came out to join in the fun. Although old Zhao's family had also held a wedding in the past, it was always a marriage of a daughter. This time, Zhao Qinhu married another family's daughter. The situation was different. Because it was different, everyone was happy and came out to join in the fun. Feng Zhangxiao was the happiest. Now that Zhao Qinhu had married his wife, her family had nothing to worry about. Their lives were getting better and better. Zhao Yuner didn't know about the customs of the ancient country people, so she found it very interesting. The bride was helped down from the sedan chair by the wedding nanny. Then she stepped over the brazier and was sent into the bridal chamber. The bridal chamber was specially prepared for the couple. It was red and festive. The people in the courtyard jeered. After the commotion, they found a stool and sat down, knowing that the banquet was about to begin. This time, in order to avoid a situation like the previous banquets held by old Zhao's family, where there weren't enough seats and some people couldn't sit at the table. This time, the first branch deliberately set up 2 more tables to prevent such a situation from happening. Everyone in the courtyard sat down, but it wasn't completely full. There were several empty seats. The people of the first branch didn't care much. A table of banquet actually didn't cost much. They got so much money from Zhao Wenshui and still had a lot of money left. This kind of joyous occasion had to be held grandly and respectfully to give the first branch face. Chapter 2014. Zhao Yun was already very skilled at cooking and matching dishes. After a while, dishes were placed on the table. Zhao Wunsher was about to set off the firecrackers, which meant that the banquet was about to begin. Because he was blown up by the firecrackers last time, Zhao Wunsher was also a little traumatized by them this time, so he asked others to help him set them off. Fortunately, everything was fine and the banquet started smoothly. At this time Zhao Wenshui was lying in the room. Last time he was seriously injured. After Zhao Ping left, he fainted directly on the bed and didn't get up for a long time. Later, Hua Chunhua couldn't stand it anymore. She was afraid that Zhao Wenshui would really die in the room, so she ran out at night and called Dr. Sun over to treat Zhao Wenshui's injuries. However, because Zhao Wenshui's injuries were too serious, he lay in bed for several days and still didn't recover. Although he was awake now, he couldn't move too much. Zhao Wenshui thought that it was better when Li Chuiying was around. At least he had someone to take care of him when he was injured and lying in bed. Now, other than Qin Zhonghu's 3 meals a day, no one cared about him. On a hot day, no one wiped his body. Lying in bed, he sweated a lot. He felt that his whole body was a little sore and smelled very bad. He couldn't live like this anymore. If he continued like this, he would die. At this moment, when he suddenly smelled the fragrance of the dishes outside, Zhao Wenshui sniffed fiercely. The food that Qin Zhonghu made for him were all vegetarian dishes. He hadn't eaten anything with oil or meat for many days. As soon as he smelled the fragrance outside, Zhao Wenshui couldn't help but swallow his saliva. When he thought about the banquet held by the first branch today, if he went out to eat, he would definitely have meat and wine to drink. Zhao Wenshui was even more greedy. Unfortunately, he was a little inconvenient now. There was a piece of wood on his arm and it hurt a lot when he moved a little. Thus, he shouted towards the outside of the house. "Mother, mother," Zhao Wenshui shouted at the top of his lungs. At this time, Hua Chunhua, who was also outside, naturally heard him. Hua Chunhua frowned. After entering Zhao Wenshui's room, she replied unhappily. "What are you yelling about on such a joyous occasion? Why do you have to call me over?" With a bitter face, Zhao Wenshui said pitifully to Hua Chunhua, "Mother, it's so lively outside. I'm so bored in the room alone. I also want to go out to attend the wedding banquet. Can you help me out?" Hua Chunhua glared at Zhao Wenshui. "Brat, Do you still want to be at the table? That's right. Mother, I haven't eaten meat or drunk wine for a long time. It's like there's a roundworm in my stomach. I was fine at first, but when I smelled the fragrance outside today, I couldn't stand it anymore. If I don't eat now, I'll die of discomfort. Mother, since you're all sitting outside and eating, why don't you take me to the table to eat? Hua Chunhua spat a mouthful of saliva on the ground. Bah! I say, Lao Air, you'd better stop tormenting yourself. You're still eating meat and wine like this. Who would want to sit with you at the table? Okay, you just lie in the room obediently. Today is Tianhu's big day. Don't go out and make a fool of yourself. Otherwise, your elder brother and sister-in-law will feel uncomfortable when they see you. At that time they'll definitely beat you. Don't suffer or you'll regret it. How could Zhao Wenshui listen to Hua Chunhua's advice? Chapter 2015. Hua Chunhua ignored Zhao Wenshui and walked out of the room. Mother, don't go, mother. Zhao Wenshui shouted anxiously, but Hua Chunhua still ignored him. Zhao Wenshui lay on the bed feeling wronged. He thought that old Zhao's family was really heartless. Everyone else was outside the courtyard, joining in on the fun. Every now and then, bursts of laughter could be heard. Zhao Wenshui felt even worse when he heard the laughter. He cursed these people in his heart. He was lying pitifully in the room, but those people were having fun outside. At this moment, the fragrance from the kitchen became stronger. Zhao Wenshui couldn't stay in bed anymore. He had to go out and eat. Otherwise he would be greedy. He didn't believe that Zhao Wenshui and Feng Zhangxiao would argue with him and not let him eat at the table on this happy day. Zhao Wenshui struggled to get up from the bed. His arm accidentally bumped into something, causing him to grimace in pain. Zhao Wenshui took a deep breath and walked out of the room. There were many people in old Zhao's courtyard. When they saw Zhao Wenshui's miserable appearance, they all pointed at Zhao Wenshui and talked about him. What happened to Zhao Wenshui? How did he end up like this? Yeah, could it be that he offended someone and got beaten up? Who knows? But why did he come out with such injuries? Did he come out to drink? Zhao Wenshui didn't care about these people's discussion. He shamelessly found a table with a few men and sat down. He could only drink at a man's table. Moreover, he was a man. How could he squeeze with a few women? As soon as Zhao Wenshui sat down, the men smelled his rancid smell. The men on the same bed frowned in disgust. How were they going to eat later if they were to be smoked like this? The smell was so disgusting that they couldn't eat. Zhao Wenshui, you're injured. It's not convenient for you to eat. Why did you come to the table? A man said tactfully. If he said it too directly, he was afraid that it would hurt Zhao Wenshui and make him feel awkward. Zhao Wenshui didn't understand the man's meaning. He waved his hand and said indifferently, so what? His body is injured, not his mouth. It's fine to eat something and drink some wine. The man frowned. It seemed that Zhao Wenshui had no intention of leaving. She couldn't help but continue, but if you keep on messing around like this, what if we accidentally touch you and you get hurt? In my opinion, it's better not to eat it at the table lest you hurt yourself. Zhao Wenshui continued to mumble indifferently, it's fine, it's fine. What could happen? You guys should be careful and stay away from me. Isn't that enough? Let me have a seat by myself. The men on the table were speechless when they saw Zhao Wenshui. They couldn't understand why Zhao Wenshui didn't have any self-awareness. He smelled so bad and still had to come over to annoy them. Zhao Wenshui, the smell on your body is so strong that it's suffocating us, one of the more outspoken people replied. Why don't you move your seat? I can't drink at the same table as you. Chapter 2016. Zhao Wenshui was stunned for a moment. He narrowed his eyes and finally understood. It turned out that these people despised him and didn't want to sit at the same table as him. He was so pissed off, Zhao Wenshui sniffed his body. It was indeed very smelly. He was a little embarrassed, but he was still unwilling to listen to these people and leave the table. Zhao Wenshui replied weakly, seriously, why are you guys being so pretentious? Isn't it just a little strong? When the dishes are served later, the fragrance will naturally cover the stench on my body. Upon hearing Zhao Wenshui's words, the corners of the men's mouths twitched. They sighed at how thick-skinned Zhao Wenshui was. They had already said so, but he still had the nerve to not leave and even said such words. This was the first time they had seen such a person and they were completely convinced. Hey, let's not talk about it. If you want to sit, then sit. Anyway, I can't stand this smell. I'll go eat at another table. One of the men stood up. The other men at the table followed suit and left Zhao Wenshui's table. Seeing that everyone left one by one and he was the only one left at the last table, how could he eat? When the people from the first branch saw that he was the only one at the table, how could they serve the dishes? Zhao Wenshui frowned and thought for a moment. In the end he decided to forget it. It was boring to eat alone at a table, so he would also change tables. Since the others despised him, it seemed that he could only sit at the same table as his family. Zhao Wenshui stood up and looked around. Finally he saw Zhao Wentao, Zhao Wenhua and Zhao Baoshan sitting at the same table. Bearing the risk of being scolded, Zhao Wenshui slowly moved his feet. Then he sat down shamelessly. Old Zhao's family was stunned when they saw Zhao Wenshui. Zhao Baoshan frowned and asked, "Second brother, what are you doing here? Hurry up and get in the house." Zhao Wenshui smiled embarrassedly. "Father, isn't today Tianhu's wedding day? As the second uncle, I definitely have to come out and join in the fun. I'm just happy for him." Zhao Baoshan now knew Zhao Wenshui very well. He snorted coldly and rolled his eyes at Zhao Wenshui. Okay, don't make so many excuses. Who doesn't know what you're doing out here?" Zhao Wenshui's smile became even more wicked. I haven't drunk for a while. It's so lively today. You're all drinking, leaving me alone in the room. I definitely can't help but want to come out and have a few drinks with you." As soon as Zhao Wenshui finished speaking, Hua Chunhua started scolding him. "Second brother, you really don't know what you're doing. The doctor said that you can't drink or eat spicy things. Otherwise the medicine you take won't be so effective." Hua Chunhua originally thought that it would be fine if she ignored Zhao Wenshui. Who knew that Zhao Wenshui would be so thick-skinned as to sneak out and sit at the banquet table? Zhao Wenshui didn't get angry at Hua Chunhua's scolding. Instead he smiled fawningly and said, "Mom, it's okay. I don't usually eat spicy things. I just ate a little today. What's the big deal? You're just too nervous and making a fuss over nothing." Chapter 2017. After being scolded in public, Zhao Wenshui naturally felt uncomfortable. "Mother, why are you talking about me like that? Isn't it just eating at the table? Why do you have to scold me? There are so many people in the courtyard. Even if you don't find it embarrassing, I find it embarrassing." Hua Chunhua was so angry that she rolled her eyes at Zhao Wenshui. This brat actually had the nerve to say that. Fine. I don't care about you. Then you can eat as much as you want. You brat, you deserve to die from eating." "Mother?" Zhao Wenshui pursed his lips and looked aggrieved. Hua Chunhua ignored Zhao Wenshui. She thought that if something really happened to Zhao Wenshui because of this banquet, she would definitely not intervene in Zhao Wenshui's life. Last time, because of their mother-son relationship, she found a doctor for Zhao Wenshui. This time she really didn't want to find another doctor. This son of hers didn't deserve any sympathy at all. He actually liked to cause trouble on a daily basis. Zhao Wenshui continued to sit down shamelessly. Zhao Baoshan, on the other hand, had a straight face and was somewhat unhappy. "Wenshui, your mother is right. You have to listen to her words. Don't act like it doesn't matter. You've already become like this and you only care about food. If something happens to you, no one in the family can help you. So this time, just bear with it and don't eat at the table. It's fine as long as Tianhu understands your intentions." Zhao Baoshan opened his mouth again and spoke in a manner that seemed to be driving him away. "Father?" Zhao Wenshui's heart was very sullen. Wasn't it just a banquet? The whole family was here, but they had to drive him away to make him happy. Really? They made it seem like he was an outsider and didn't care about him at all. "Hurry up and go back to your room. Don't dawdle anymore." Zhao Baoshan impatiently urged him again. At this moment, a dish was prepared in the kitchen and was brought to the table. When Zhao Wenshui saw the dishes on the plate, he was reluctant to leave. Now he couldn't move. Zhao Wenshui swallowed his saliva and couldn't wait to pick up his chopsticks and have a taste. However, before he could do that, he heard Zhao Baoshan scolding him again. "Hurry up and leave. We're going to eat." "Father, I also want to sit down and eat. It's already pitiful enough for me to lie in my room alone for so many days. Now that it's Tianhu's big day, I can't even come out to join in the fun. Do you want me to suffocate to death in my room?" Zhao Wenhua glanced at Zhao Wenshui and felt that her second brother was indeed a little pitiful. The whole family sat at the same table to eat, but Zhao Wenshui was not allowed to sit at the table. Zhao Wenshui was definitely uncomfortable. Zhao Wenhua said, "Father, why don't we let second brother sit down and eat? It's not a big deal to eat less spicy food and drink less alcohol. The main thing is that the whole family can sit together and join in the fun. After all, it's a joyous day. Old Zhao's family should all be happy." After hearing Zhao Wenhua's words, Zhao Wenshui cast a grateful look at him and hurriedly nodded in agreement. Yes, 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 father. That's what fourth brother said. Zhao Baoshan glared at Zhao Wenshui and said unhappily, do whatever you want. I don't care anyway. I won't help you when your big brother comes over to chase us away. Father, he won't. Big brother usually bickers with me. He definitely won't do that today. However, Zhao Wenshui was slapped in the face the next second. Chapter 2018. Big Brother. Zhao Wenshui looked into Zhao Wenshu's gloomy eyes and felt a little scared. He had been punched by Zhao Wenshu before, so he knew how powerful Zhao Wenshu was. As soon as Zhao Wenshui saw Zhao Wenshu, he could not help but feel a little scared. Hurry up and leave. Do you want me to chase you away with a stick before you leave? Zhao Wenshu continued to scold him. Zhao Wenshui smiled fawningly and said, Big brother, I know you're not happy to see me, but don't be angry with me. Today is Tianhu's big day. Don't be so calculative with me. What does my Tianhu's big day have to do with you? Zhao Wenshu retorted angrily. Zhao Wenshui said embarrassedly, Of course it has something to do with me, big brother. I'm Tianhu's second uncle. How can it have nothing to do with me? Zhao Wenshu snorted and said, What kind of second uncle are you? Hurry up and get lost. Zhao Wenshu said mercilessly. Of course, in his heart he did not acknowledge Zhao Wenshui as his brother. Ever since Zhao Wenshui laid his hands on his wife, he treated Zhao Wenshui as if he did not exist. In the past, even if Zhao Wenshui did something worse than a beast, he would still take into account their brotherhood. However, Zhao Wenshui's perverted hands reached out to his wife. As long as he was a man, he would not tolerate such a thing happening. Zhao Wenshui was slightly stunned. Why was Zhao Wenshu's reaction different from what he had imagined? Big brother, let's talk nicely. It's just a banquet. Before Zhao Wenshui could finish speaking, Zhao Wenshu had already picked up the stick on the ground and swung it at Zhao Wenshui. Zhao Wenshui hurriedly dodged. When he saw that he had dodged, he heaved a heavy sigh of relief in his heart. If he was hit, it would be terrible. He was already injured, so he would definitely be crippled. After recovering from his shock, Zhao Wenshu chased after him with a stick. Are you going to leave or not? Zhao Wenshui was so scared that he hurriedly said, Big brother, stop hitting me. I'll get out of here. With that, Zhao Wenshui limped back to his room. Seeing Zhao Wenshui's back disappear, Zhao Wenshu's anger dissipated. This shameless guy actually had the nerve to come out. If it weren't for the fact that they were holding a wedding today and he didn't have a chance to make a scene in front of so many people, he wouldn't be able to rest if he didn't give Zhao Wenshui a good beating. After Zhao Wenshui left, the banquet table continued to be lively. Zhao Yuner was in charge of cooking in the kitchen, and the dishes were served one by one. Due to the delicious food and wine, everyone in the courtyard began to eat in a lively manner. As the groom, Zhao Tianhu inevitably had to be toasted by table after table. The villagers were usually very idle, so when it came to such a joyous occasion, they naturally wanted to liven things up. Everyone held a jar of Zhao Tianhu's wine. Zhao Tianhu was an honest person. After others toasted him, he was too embarrassed to refuse, so he directly gulped down cup after cup of wine. Fortunately, he usually had a good tolerance for alcohol. If it were an ordinary person, they would have been drunk and passed out on the ground. Feng Zhangxia was busy in the kitchen while looking at Zhao Tianhu worriedly. When she saw that Zhao Tianhu drank so much wine, she was very worried. She hurriedly walked out and pulled Zhao Wenshu aside. Tianhu's father, you have to stop others from toasting. Tianhu drank so much that it will hurt his body. Hey Tianhu's mother, today is just for fun. You can't refuse a toast, right? Chapter 2019. Feng Zhangxia was still worried about her son, so she reminded him repeatedly. Zhao Wenshu could only reply, Okay. I got it. But she wants Tianhu to drink. I'm just afraid that as his father, she won't be happy if I help her drink. Feng Zhangxia's face was colored with a hint of worry. Drinking too much wine would cause problems. They still had to consummate their marriage at night. If he drank too much and passed out, how could they continue? This isn't a good idea. Then think of a way? While the two of them were frowning and meditating, Zhao Yuner came over and said, What's so difficult about this? Can't we just change the wine in second cousin's wine pot to water? At most, he'll just drink a few more cups of water. Zhao Wenshu and Feng Zhangxia were slightly stunned. After hearing Zhao Yuner's words, they suddenly felt that they were too naive. Sometimes one had to be sly and not be too honest. But what if the wine in the wine pot doesn't smell like wine? Won't we be discovered? Zhao Wenshi was a little worried. People like them who drank wine often knew that when pouring wine, they would smell the fragrance of wine. If it was plain water, they might be suspicious if they couldn't smell it. Zhao Yun'er smiled. That's easy. Add some water to the wine. This way it won't smell like wine and it won't be easy to get drunk. After hearing Zhao Yun'er's words, Zhao Wenshi and Feng Zhangxiao were enlightened. This method was indeed good and feasible. Hence, when Zhao Qianhu was about to finish the wine pot in his hand, he hurriedly took out another wine pot and poured a lot of water into it. Then he brought it in front of Zhao Qianhu and asked Zhao Qianhu to hold the diluted wine pot and toast everyone. This time, because the alcohol content in the wine was reduced by a lot, Zhao Qianhu didn't get too drunk even though he drank a lot. After 3 rounds of wine, almost everyone in the courtyard had eaten and drunk well. Zhao Yun'er was busy with the banquet, and it was rare for her to take time to have lunch. But because of the heat she couldn't eat much. Thinking that the bride was still waiting in the bridal chamber and must have not eaten at this time, Zhao Yun'er thought about sending some food to the bride. Otherwise she would be hungry after waiting for such a long time. Unfortunately, the bride's veil could only be removed by the groom during the bridal chamber, and no one else could do it. With a red veil covering the bride's head, it was impossible to eat. Zhao Yun'er silently planned to hide more snacks in her sleeves when she got married in the future. That way she could use these snacks to fill her stomach when she was hungry. After the people in the courtyard finished eating, they dispersed. However, as the man, in addition to lunch, he also had to entertain his family at night. Old Zhao's family members had to be well entertained. After dinner, the banquet would be over, and then they would enter the bridal chamber. The banquet in the evening was easy to prepare. There were so many leftover dishes in the afternoon, so they just had to be reheated in the evening. Eating together as a family was not so particular, unlike eating with outsiders. At that time, Zhao Yun'er's family would also come to join in the fun. Of course, this was for Zhao Qianhu's sake. If it was someone else's wedding, she would probably be too lazy to join in the fun. Old Zhao's family was still sitting in the courtyard, watching another grandson get married. Zhao Baoshan was also very happy. At noon he drank a lot of wine and was drunk. Chapter 2020. Zhao Tianan was very shy to begin with. When Zhao Wentao mentioned this matter, he became even more shy. He muttered softly, "Fourth uncle, don't tease me." Zhao Wentao laughed heartily. "Fourth uncle isn't teasing you. Among the descendants of old Zhao, according to age, the next one to get married will definitely be you. It can't be that Tianfu and Chanyu will get married before you, right?" As soon as Zhao Wentao finished speaking, Daodu, who was sitting on a stool and leaning against Zhao Tianan, replied in a childish voice, "Fourth grandpa, the next one to get married won't be first uncle. It's Daodu. Daodu is going to marry little sister Tiantan." After Daodu finished speaking, everyone at the dining table was amused by Daodu's childish words. Haha, yes. Daodu is right. The next one to get married will definitely be Daodu. Daodu is already thinking about getting married at such a young age? Don't you know how to be shy? Qian Zhonghu teased. Daodu shook her head heavily. I'm not ashamed. Fourth grandmother, what's there to be ashamed of? Daodu likes little sister Tian Tian and wants to marry little sister Tian Tian. Ha! Sure enough, the words of a child were so funny. However, he was still young and did not understand the true meaning of marriage. The topic of conversation fell on Zhao Tianan. They seemed to be very concerned about Zhao Tianan's marriage. Zhao Wenhua said, "Tianan's marriage is coming soon. In a few days, the family will be preparing for the wedding." Ah, that's good. It's indeed a happy thing to be able to see Tianan get married. Third elder brother, congratulations. Soon, only Tianfu will be left in the family. The whole family is about to get married. Zhao Wenhua chuckled and replied, "Yes, our old Zhao family has been having a lot of good things recently. Tianan is also enjoying the good fortune of our old Zhao family to get such a good marriage." Haha, no matter whose blessing it is, Tianan being able to get married is a joyous occasion. The people at the table were talking and laughing because of Zhao Tianan's marriage. Zhao Tianan's cheeks became redder. Seeing that everyone had left, the people at old Zhao's table slowly stood up. A few sisters-in-law were busy cleaning up the table. Zhao Yun'er went back home to rest for a while and take an afternoon nap. With Mu Lianfeng taking care of the child, she didn't have to worry about it. Tian Tian was a very well-behaved child. She ate and drank to her heart's content every day and never made a fuss unless she had to defecate. This saved Zhao Yun'er and Mu Lianfeng a lot of trouble. As for old Zhao's side, after the table was cleaned up, the borrowed tables could be returned one by one with the help of a few uncles. Zhao Tianan, who was not completely drunk, thought about his lovely wife, who was left alone in the bridal chamber. Zhao Qianhu walked to the door of the bridal chamber nervously. He glanced into the room and hesitated whether to go in or not. He was looking forward to seeing Jinju, but his heart was pounding nervously. He thought that Jinju must be bored alone in the room. Most importantly, she hadn't eaten lunch. Zhao Qianhu entered the room and stood in front of Jinju. He said gently to her, Are you hungry? Do you want to eat something? Jinju nodded and then shook her head. She nodded because she was indeed hungry. She shook her head because it was inconvenient to eat with the red veil on her head. What's wrong? Are you hungry or not? Zhao Qianhu asked doubtfully. Chapter 2021. Zhao Qianhu replied foolishly, Then I'll just take it off? Taking off the veil on Jinju's head would allow him to see Jinju's dainty appearance today. He couldn't wait to take a look and let Jinju see her current handsome appearance. You can't. Jinju replied shyly. Why is that? The two of us are getting married. If we take off the veil now, it will be inauspicious. Wait for the night. You can only take it off during the wedding night? Under the veil, Jinju's face was extremely red. Thinking of the wedding night, Jinju's heart was nervous. Zhao Qianhu was about the same. When he heard the words wedding night from old man Jin's mouth, his ears turned red, but he was somewhat looking forward to it. He wanted to do that with she was his wife, so the two of them could do the wedding night. Then we'll wait until the wedding night to reveal it. Zhao Qianhu stuttered a little. Because he was nervous, he clutched the corner of his clothes, secretly looking forward to the arrival of the night. Jinju also responded. Thinking that it would take some time to wait for the night, Jinju was already hungry. If she waited until the night, wouldn't she be so hungry that her chest was sticking to her back? Zhao Qianhu continued to ask with concern, what if you're hungry? Do you want me to get something else for you to eat? No. There's no need, right? Jinju was a little embarrassed to ask. Being hungry is not an option. You still have to eat something. I'll go get you some food. With that, Zhao Qianhu turned and left the house. Since she couldn't eat food but other things could be eaten. For example, those pastries and candies, eating them could at least fill her stomach. Zhao Qianhu walked out of the house and went to look for Feng Zhangxia. Mother. Zhao Qianhu called out. Mother, do we still have those pastries in our house? Take some out for me, I'll give them to She hasn't eaten yet. I'm a little hungry. Feng Zhangxia patted her head, only then did she remember Jinju. She hurriedly nodded and said, All right, mother will go get some now. Yes. When Feng Zhangxia entered the house, she left all the delicious food with Shinpan, so that Shinpan could bring it to Zhao Yangyang. Right now, the Shin couple was in the room chatting with Shinpan. Feng Zhangxia couldn't help but feel a little awkward when she went in. She forced a smile and said, You guys talk. Don't worry about me. I'm just going to take some food out. However, as soon as Feng Zhangxia opened the bag, Zhao Yangyang stopped Feng Zhangxia unhappily. Grandma, you said these things are for me to eat. Where do you want to take them now? Who is it for? Feng Zhangxia coaxed. Yangyang, your second aunt is hungry. Grandma will get her something to eat now. Otherwise she will starve. However, Zhao Yangyang stubbornly replied, No. Grandma, you said before that these things were for Yangyang alone. Why are you giving them to others now? Feng Zhangxia was stunned. Yangyang, but your second aunt doesn't have anything else to eat. Can you let Grandma take some now? Grandma will buy them tomorrow and return them to you, okay? Zhao Yangyang protected the pastries with one hand and stubbornly said, No, Grandma can't go back on her words. If you give Yangyang something, you can't give it to others. Otherwise, Yangyang will get angry and ignore Grandma in the future. Chapter 2022. If Zhao Yangyang was protecting Jinju, then what could he make for her? Grandma, go away, go away. Zhao Yangyang pushed Feng Zhangxia, wanting to chase her out. Feng Zhangxia furrowed her brows, feeling a little uncomfortable. Her gaze landed on Shinpan. As the saying goes, a father's fault is a father's fault. Now that Zhao Tianlong wasn't home, he couldn't educate Zhao Yangyang. Shinpan, must have not taught him well for him to treat her like this. Pan, talk to Yangyang. She listens to you more. I'll make some food for your second sister-in-law. Otherwise she'll definitely be starving tonight. After Xin Pan heard this, she felt a little uncomfortable. Before Jinju married into the family, Feng Zhangxia only favored her. Now that her second sister-in-law was here with Feng Zhangxia's personality, she would definitely give Jinju half of the love and care she gave her. Although she felt uncomfortable, Xin Pan didn't show it on her face. Instead, she greeted Zhao Yangyang. Yangyang, give it to your grandma. Grandma and grandpa brought a lot of good food for you today. You definitely won't be able to finish it. Be good and listen to your mother, okay? Madame Yang and Shenwan nodded and coaxed Zhao Yangyang. Yes, Yangyang. Grandpa and grandma brought a lot of good food for you. It'll be enough for you to eat for a while. When you're done eating, have your mother bring you to grandpa and grandma to prepare some more for you. After hearing Madame Yang and Shenwan's words, Zhao Yangyang made a sound of agreement. Yes, yes. Then Yangyang will eat the food grandpa and grandma brought. Grandpa and grandma are the best. Zhao Yangyang smiled and ran over to Madame Yang and Shenwan. Feng Zhangxia felt a little stuffy in her chest. She glanced at Zhao Yangyang and scolded him in her heart. This little brat didn't even know who he should be close to. Madame Yang and Shenwan were just outsiders. Since he was her grandson, he should be closer to her. She was so good to him, but she couldn't bear to eat anything and stuffed everything into Zhao Yangyang's mouth. Now Zhao Yangyang was great. Madame Yang and Shenwan casually took out something to coax him, but Zhao Yangyang immediately betrayed them and said that Madame Yang and Shenwan were good. It seemed like the amount of food she gave to this grandson was not as good as the amount of food she gave to the Shen family. This kind of child would probably not know how to be grateful and filial when he grew up. Of course, Feng Zhangxia was just thinking about it. Although she was disappointed, he was still her grandson. What could she do? Xin Pan pursed her lips and said to Feng Zhangxia, Mother, it's done now. Go and give some to second sister-in-law. Feng Zhangxia came back to her senses and responded. Then she took out some pastries from the bag. She didn't take much, but it was enough to fill her stomach. After coming out, Feng Zhangxia gave the cake to Zhao Tianhu. Zhao Tianhu turned around and went into the house to give it to Jinju. At this moment in Xin Pan's room, the Xin couple sighed. Xin Pan asked, Father, Mother, why are the two of you sighing? Madame Yang's heart ached as she said, Father and Mother are very sad to see you and Yangyang living like this. You even treasure food so much. If you married into a rich family, you wouldn't have to live like this. Xin Pan cried and laughed. Father, Mother, it's not as bad as you make it out to be. Although we're not rich, at least Yangyang and I have never gone hungry. Chapter 2023. Madame Yang sighed again. Back then this was what Mother thought, which was why she allowed you to be together with Tianlong. Otherwise, with the Zhao family's conditions, Father and Mother would never have allowed you to marry over and suffer. Shenwan also said, That's right. Back then I saw that Tianlong had potential. I would not bear to let my precious daughter marry into such a poor and remote place. Father, Mother, I know that you feel sorry for me. However, I believe that these few years of suffering here are worth it. Tianlong will definitely not let me down and will bring me and Yangyang to live a good life. Madame Yang and Shenwan nodded in agreement. I hope so. Tianlong's imperial examinations are coming up soon. Pan, when you return, bring Yangyang back to your parents' home and let your mother buy some things. The two of you will go to the temple together and pray for Tianlong. Let the heavens bless him and let him pass. Yes, Father. Xin Pan nodded in agreement. Her heart was filled with anticipation. After chatting for a while, the Xin family got up and bid farewell. Feng Zhangxia and Zhao Wenshi politely sent them off. Seeing that it was getting late, Feng Zhangxia and Zhao Wenshi did not urge them to stay. They did not want the Xin family to be late. In order to prepare for the banquet, Feng Zhangxia and Zhao Wenshi were already so tired that their chests were sticking to their backs. They did not rest for long in the afternoon. Seeing that the sky was about to darken, they had to prepare for the banquet again. As they had already troubled Zhao Yun'er and the other sisters-in-law to prepare for the banquet at noon, they were also very tired today. Especially Chen Zurio. In the afternoon, when she was helping to wash the dishes, she accidentally cut her hand by a broken bowl. There was a big cut and a lot of blood. Although her hand was bandaged, it was somewhat inconvenient to do such rough work. Naturally, Feng Zhangxia was even more embarrassed to ask Chen Zurio to help. As for Zhao Yun'er and Liang Jinxiao, she knew Zhao Yun'er's personality. She was not easy to talk to. She had already given enough face by coming over to cook for the banquet at noon. She could not count on her for the banquet at night. As for Liang Jinxiao, she was pregnant. She helped out in the afternoon, so it was unreasonable for her to ask Liang Jinxiao to help out in the evening. However, if he were to manage all the dishes by himself, even though he only needed to heat them up, it would still be a little too much for him to handle. She couldn't count on the men at home. How many men could cook and enter the kitchen? With this in mind, the only person in the family you can count on is Shin Pan. All these years, Feng Zhangxia had never asked Shin Pan to do anything. This time she had no choice but to rely on Shin Pan. Of course, today's work should be fine. If Shin Pan didn't come out to help, then she really would be unreasonable. Even if Shin Pan was the eldest daughter of the Zhao family, since she married into the Zhao family, she was their daughter-in-law. When the family was in trouble, it was understandable for her to lend a helping hand. Feng Zhangxia shamelessly walked up to Shin Pan's room. At this moment, Shin Pan was in the room with Zhao Yangyang. The two of them unpacked the food that the Shin family had brought over. Zhao Yangyang was eating it in his hands. "Mother, what's wrong?" Shin Pan asked. Chapter 2024. As soon as she heard that she was going to help out in the kitchen, Shin Pan immediately resisted. She hated greasy places like the kitchen the most. Working there would make her hands and body smell very bad, so she didn't want to step into it. Fortunately, after so many years in old Zhao's house, the number of times she did housework could be counted on one hand. She didn't expect Feng Zhangxia to take the initiative to ask her to help out this time. Shin Pan's expression didn't look too good. She replied reluctantly, "Mother, I still have to take care of Yang Yang. If I help out, what will happen to Yang Yang?" Feng Zhangxia smiled and said, "Yang Yang can be taken care of by your father. Your father will be fine." Shin Pan was still a little unwilling. "Mother, why don't you ask father to help?" "How can that be? Your father is a man. How can he help out in the kitchen?" Feng Zhangxia said sternly. "But mother," Shin Pan was about to decline when Feng Zhangxia said, "Pan, I only came to you because I have no other choice. I don't usually ask you to do any housework. I only called you because I don't have enough manpower. After today, I won't ask you to do any more housework. You can't be unwilling to do it even once, right?" Since Feng Zhangxia had already said this, if she still refused, Feng Zhangxia would blame her to death. She wasn't afraid of anything else, but she was afraid that Feng Zhangxia would say bad things about her in front of Zhao Tianlong. She would say that she was arrogant and didn't know how to be filial to her in-laws. Zhao Tianlong placed the most importance on filial piety. She didn't want to affect her image in Zhao Tianlong's heart. Only then did Shin Pan respond reluctantly, "All right then, mother. I'll come out and help out." Feng Zhangxia's stern expression eased a little. If Shin Pan insisted on not coming out, she would definitely be unhappy. It was true that Shin Pan was the eldest daughter of the Shin family. She couldn't be arrogant in front of her mother-in-law. Sometimes she had to know her place. As a daughter-in-law, she had to do what a daughter-in-law should do. The mother-in-law and daughter-in-law busied themselves in the kitchen. Because she was unwilling, Shin Pan was a little slow when she worked. When she saw the dust on her pink dress accidentally smeared on the wall and stained it, Shin Pan's heart immediately ached. Seriously, she had dirted her clothes just by doing some work. Didn't she know how much the clothes cost? Shin Pan's face was filled with melancholy as she prayed that this would be the last time she did housework. If she had to do it again, she definitely wouldn't do it again. In the end, it was all her sister-in-law's fault. If she hadn't married him, how could so many things have happened? When the banquet was ready, old Zhao's whole family came over. In the evening, only old Zhao's family was present. They chatted and laughed at the dinner table and time passed quickly. Without the outsiders forcing them to drink at noon, Zhao Qinhu took the initiative to toast the elders because he was happy. Naturally, the wine he drank was not watered down. Feng Zhangxia and Zhao Wenshi didn't stop them because they didn't drink much and were drinking with their elders. Instead, they were very happy. Not long after, the whole family drank a lot of wine. After the banquet, they went to the bridal chamber. When Zhao Qinhu heard that they were going to the bridal chamber, his face immediately turned red and he was extremely shy. He looked at old Zhao's family members pleadingly and said, "Why don't you stop fooling around? Can I drink a few more glasses of wine with you?" Chapter 2025. The others echoed. "Exactly. It's not easy to hold a wedding banquet. How can we let it go so easily?" But Zhao Qinhu had a conflicted look on his face. His ears were red and it was obvious that he was shy. But what? Tianhu, you're already married. Why are you still shy? Zhao Tianhu didn't say anything, but his blushing face betrayed him. Everyone chuckled when they saw this. Feng Zhangxia loved her son dearly. Seeing Zhao Tianhu like this, she helped him and said, "Let's just forget about it. Don't make a fuss about the bridal chamber. Tianhu isn't like other people's children. He's been shy since he was a child. I'm sorry. If you make a scene, he'll be too shy to enter the wedding banquet." Zhao Tianhu lowered his head and acquiesced to Feng Zhangxia's words. If other people made a scene, he would indeed be too shy to enter the wedding banquet. He couldn't do anything in front of Jinju in front of so many people. Even if he was shy, Jinju might not be. Therefore he decided to forget it. Girls were thin-skinned and he had to consider Jinju. Old Zhao's family just joined in the fun and made a joke. Seeing that Zhao Tianhu was really shy, they said with a smile, "Then let's let Tianhu go. Let's not be a hindrance here. Let's let Tianhu and his niece-in-law have a good time in the wedding banquet. Every minute of the wedding banquet is worth 1,000 gold. Tianhu, you'd better get busy. Haha, Tianhu, work hard. Hurry up and go. Don't let your niece-in-law wait in the wedding banquet alone for too long." It would have been better if they hadn't said anything. Once they did, Zhao Tianhu's face turned even redder. Feng Zhangxia looked at her son and couldn't help shaking her head. Zhao Tianhu was already so old. Why was he still so shy? She wondered if Zhao Tianhu knew anything about the wedding banquet. Feng Zhangxia was afraid that Zhao Tianhu was too honest and didn't even know what the wedding banquet was. After all, no one taught him these things, and many things couldn't be learned without a teacher. Feng Zhangxia thought that it would be better to ask Zhao Wenshi and Zhao Tianhu before the wedding banquet. After Zhao Tianhu knew about the wedding banquet, she could hold her grandson sooner. Old Zhao's family talked for a while. Zhao Baoshan, Hua Chunhua, and the fourth branch's family. Zhao Yun'er's family. Feng Zhangxia shouted at Liang Jinxiao, "Third sister-in-law, wait a moment." Liang Jinxiao turned around and asked, "Sister-in-law, is there anything else?" Feng Zhangxia smiled and said, "Third sister-in-law, didn't we have a banquet? There are still a lot of dishes that haven't been eaten. In this kind of weather, they will probably search tomorrow. So I was wondering if I could pack these dishes and hang them in your well?" The well water was at a constant temperature, so it was warm in winter and cool in summer. In ancient times, people didn't have air drying, so they would use this simple method to hang the dishes in the well. This way they wouldn't spoil easily. The first branch held a wedding banquet today. Even though they had another meal in the evening, there were still many dishes left. It would be a pity if they just put them aside and waited for them to spoil tomorrow. Hearing that, Liang Jinxiao nodded and said, "Okay, sister-in-law. Bring them here. I'll bring them back." Okay. Seeing that Liang Jinxiao agreed, Feng Zhangxia was very happy. She hurriedly turned around and went into the kitchen. She put the dishes in the well and carried them out. Chapter 2026. Liang Jinxiao smiled and replied, "You're welcome. It's nothing." That's right. If third sister-in-law doesn't help, these dishes will go to waste. If they go bad, they definitely can't be eaten. If they go bad, they'll get upset easily. Of course they can't be eaten. Third sister-in-law, your family is lucky to have a well. Not only is it convenient to use water, but it's also easy for the dishes to go bad in this weather. Liang Jinxiao smiled and agreed. There weren't many families in the village who dug wells. Digging a well required a lot of manpower and it would cost a lot of money. Thus, ordinary families wouldn't be willing to spend money on this and basically wouldn't dig wells. Now that the third branch was well off, they definitely wouldn't dig wells. The third branch took the food that the first branch gave them and went back. Now that the sky was dark, they couldn't see the road outside very clearly. Only Zhao Wenhua lit a lantern in front of the family, which reflected some light. Because Liang Jinxiao was pregnant, she was very careful in doing things. Zhao Yun'er reminded Liang Jinxiao, "Mother, let father support you. It's dark on the road and you can't see clearly. Don't be careful and accidentally fall." Pregnant women couldn't withstand the torment, especially an older pregnant woman like Liang Jinxiao. If she accidentally fell, it was very likely that she would lose the child in her belly. Naturally, she had to be very careful at this moment. After hearing Zhao Yun'er's words, Zhao Wenhua reached out and touched Liang Jinxiao's hand. She said to Liang Jinxiao, "Yun'er is right. You have to be careful. You can't take a fall." Liang Jinxiao saw that Zhao Wenhua was holding her hand tightly. She couldn't break free even if she wanted to. A blissful smile appeared on Liang Jinxiao's face when she thought about how worried her husband and daughter were about her. She didn't say anything and let Zhao Wenhua lead her forward. In fact, although they were walking at night, the moonlight was very bright and they could still see the road clearly. She often walked at night, so how could she be so delicate and weak? She immediately fell down. However, in order not to let Zhao Wenhua and Zhao Yun'er worry, she obediently cooperated and didn't say anything. Dao Du followed beside Zhao Yun'er. He glanced at Zhao Wenhua and Liang Jinxiao. Then he looked at Mu Lianfeng and said, "Father, hold mother's hand. Don't let mother's hand. Mother's hand. And don't let mother fall down." Mu Lianfeng's lips curled into a smile. He lowered his head and glanced at Dao Du before replying, "All right, then father will hold mother's hand." Dao Du grinned happily, revealing his cute little canine teeth. His cute face melted Zhao Yun'er's heart. The family of three walked together happily. Now that the weather was hot, the fields on both sides of the road were filled with the sound of frogs croaking. It was very pleasant to the ears. This kind of idyllic tranquility was something that didn't exist in the 21st century. After coming to this world, although everything was not as convenient as in the 21st century, Zhao Yun'er felt that this kind of idyllic life was more suitable for her. With Mu Lianfeng and Dao Du by her side, she hoped that this kind of happiness could continue. Chapter 2027. Zhao Yun'er looked up and saw a bright firefly flying in the night sky not far away. The last time she saw a firefly was when she was a child, and she never saw one again after she grew up. After seeing it at this moment, Zhao Yun'er's eyes also revealed a touch of amazement. Like Dao Du, she was very happy. She had never seen those twinkling fireflies again after she grew up. She didn't expect to see it again in ancient times. "Mother?" Dao Du pulled Zhao Yun'er's hand and asked when he saw that Zhao Yun'er was in a daze. A smile appeared at the corner of Zhao Yun'er's mouth, and then she patiently explained to Lil P, "Lil P, that's not a star falling from the sky, that's a firefly." "Firefly?" Dao Du asked softly. "Yes, it's called a firefly. Isn't it beautiful? It naturally glows and it appears in this season." Zhao Yun'er explained to Dao Du. Dao Du tilted his little head and listened attentively. He then looked at the firefly flying around with a face full of joy. His black eyes turned back and forth, reflecting the moonlight like stars in the sky. This child was unbelievably beautiful. Only Mu Lianfeng's good genes could give birth to a cute boy like Dao Du. Seeing that it was getting late, Zhao Yun'er patted Dao Du's head and said, "All right, Dao Du, let's go home." Dao Du looked at the firefly reluctantly and muttered, "I really want to bring them back. Too bad they're flying in the sky and I can't catch them." After he finished speaking, Dao Du's eyes sank, and his eyes revealed a sense of loss and sadness. Mu Lianfeng saw this and smiled at Dao Du. "Dao Du, do you want to catch them?" "Yes." Dao Du nodded. "Then father will go and catch some for Dao Du?" Dao Du's originally gloomy eyes immediately lit up and he happily asked, "Daddy, is this true? Are you really going to help Dao Du catch some?" "Of course." After Mu Lianfeng finished speaking, he gently leaped into the air. Dao Du stared at Mu Lianfeng. He watched as Mu Lianfeng elegantly turned around in the air, grabbed the air in front of him, and then gracefully landed on the ground again. His small eyes looked at Mu Lianfeng with admiration. Mu Lianfeng stretched out his palm, and a few fireflies flew out from his palm. "Wow!" Dao Du cried out in surprise. His little face was filled with pleasant surprise. "Father, they flew away." Seeing the fireflies fly higher and higher, Dao Du became anxious. Mu Lianfeng teased Dao Du's little face and then comforted him. "It's okay, Dao Du. Father will catch some more for you." "Yes, yes." These fireflies couldn't be held in the palm of his hand, so Zhao Yun'er took out a pouch and asked Mu Lianfeng to put the fireflies he caught into the pouch. After putting them into the pouch, the light emitted by the fireflies could still shine through the pouch, making it look bright. Mu Lianfeng leaped again, caught a lot of fireflies and put them into the pouch. Then he handed the pouch to Dao Du. "Here for you." Dao Du happily took it and smiled at Mu Lianfeng. "Thank you, father. You don't have to be so polite with father." "Yes, yes." Chapter 2028. After a while, the third branch's family went back. Everyone was in high spirits at Zhao Tianhu's wedding, and it was rare for the whole family to be together. After the third branch's family left, Feng Zhangxia called Zhao Wenshi to talk for a while. Then she said to Zhao Wenshi, "Tianhu's father, I want to talk to you about something." "What is it?" Zhao Wenshi asked curiously. Feng Zhangxia pulled Zhao Wenshi to a corner. She was afraid that others would hear them, so she whispered in Zhao Wenshi's ear, "Tianhu's father, it's like this. Our Tianhu is too honest. This is his first time in the bridal chamber, so he doesn't have much experience. Can you talk to him and let him know how to do it?" Zhao Wenshi frowned. Tianhu's mother, it can't be, right? Tianhu is an adult. How can he not know this kind of thing? Feng Zhangxia said earnestly, "Others may know, but our Tianhu may not. This child is too honest. I'm afraid he doesn't know. Say, if he doesn't even know how to do it, how can we have grandchildren?" Zhao Wenshi felt that Feng Zhangxia's words made some sense. Zhao Tianhu was indeed very honest. No one had mentioned this kind of thing to him before, so he couldn't possibly learn it without a teacher. But, how can I talk about this kind of thing? Zhao Wenshi's ears turned red when he thought of this. It was fine to talk about this kind of thing with others, but it felt a little weird to talk about it with his own son. Why are you embarrassed to talk about it? You're his father. Now that he's married, what's wrong with you talking about this kind of thing? If you don't talk about it, do you expect me to talk about it? Feng Zhangxia snorted. Zhao Wenshi hurriedly said, "How can that be? How can you, a woman, talk about this with him? Let me talk about it." At most, he could just be thick-skinned and say it out loud. Well, then go ahead and say it. Try to be as straightforward as possible. Tianhu is not like Sky Dragon. He's not as smart. If you say it too cryptic, I'm afraid he won't understand. Zhao Wenshi answered, "Got it, got it." Thus, Zhao Wenshi went to the front of the bridal chamber and called for Zhao Tianhu. Zhao Tianhu came out of the house with some embarrassment. He walked to Zhao Wenshi and asked Zhao Wenshi, "Dad, why did you call me out?" Zhao Wenshi smiled awkwardly and said, "It's nothing serious. I just wanted to discuss sex with you." It would have been better if Zhao Wenshi hadn't said anything, but once he did, Zhao Tianhu's face turned even redder. "Father, what's there to say?" Zhao Wenshi cleared his throat and laughed dryly. "I'm just afraid that you don't know how to. It's your first time in life, so it's normal that you don't have any experience. As a father, I have to worry about you. If I teach you now, it'll be easier for you when the time comes." "Father?" Zhao Tianhu lowered his head again and muttered, "There's nothing to teach." Zhao Wenshi was stunned, then his gaze fell on Zhao Tianhu. He said to Zhao Tianhu ambiguously, "Tianhu, so you know how to consummate your marriage?" Zhao Tianhu blushed from his face to his neck. He didn't know how to answer Zhao Wenshi's question. "Father?" Chapter 2029. So he asked Zhao Tianhu, "What's there to be embarrassed about, kid? We are father and son. Now that you are of marriageable age, it's okay for you to talk about this with me." "Father, don't forget, I know." Zhao Tianhu declined in embarrassment. However, Zhao Wenshi was still worried and continued to ask, "Since you know, why do you have to talk about it with me?" "Father, isn't it just a man and a woman doing that? How can I talk about this?" Zhao Tianhu lowered his head even more and did not dare to look into Zhao Wenshi's eyes. Zhao Wenshi said anxiously, "Which one is it? You have to be clear, right? How would I know which one you're talking about?" "Father, between a man and a woman, it's just putting the thing down there together." Zhao Tianhu's voice became softer and softer as he spoke. If Zhao Wenshi continued to ask, he would probably feel ashamed. Seeing that Zhao Tianhu was really shy, Zhao Wenshi was relieved after hearing what he said. Seeing that Zhao Tianhu really knew what to do, he did not continue to pester Zhao Tianhu and let Zhao Tianhu go back to the room. When Zhao Wenshi returned to the room, Feng Zhangxia immediately went over and asked, "Tianhu's father, how was it? Did you tell Tianhu?" "What did I say? I told you that he knew, but you didn't believe me. Just now, I asked him if he knew," Zhao Wenshi replied impatiently. Feng Zhangxia heaved a sigh of relief and smiled, "That's good, that's good. Looks like our Tianhu isn't that stupid after all. At least he knows about this." Zhao Wenshi snorted. "You're looking down on Tianhu, woman? That child is quite astute in some ways." "Haha." Feng Zhangxia laughed. At this moment, Zhao Tianhu walked into the room with a red face. After hearing what his father said, his mind was filled with the scene of him and Jinju having sex. The more he thought about it, the hotter his face became. At this moment, Jinju was sitting quietly by the bed, nervously waiting for Zhao Tianhu's arrival. The red veil on her head had not been removed yet. Her legs were crossed and her hands were holding the corners of her clothes. Zhao Tianhu glanced at his wife and his heart skipped a beat. He felt his body heating up. His throat choked and he muttered, "Wife? When Jinju heard Zhao Qianhu's gentle voice, she became even more nervous. She knew that at this moment, Zhao Qianhu would come in and remove the red veil on her head. Then the two of them would complete the most important part of the wedding, which was the consummation of their marriage. Zhao Qianhu swallowed. Although he was nervous, he was also looking forward to it. He wanted to do that with Jinju and enjoy the pleasure of skin to skin. Wife. Zhao Qianhu called out again and slowly walked towards Jinju. Then he lifted the red veil on Jinju's head. Because Jinju was shy, she lowered her head and did not dare to look at Zhao Qianhu. Zhao Qianhu reached out and lifted Jinju's chin. He said gently to Jinju, "Wife, raise your head and let me see. Don't keep your head down. I want to see your face." Only then did Jinju raise her head and the two of them looked at each other. Chapter 20:30. Zhao Qianhu's heart skipped a beat. Looking at Jinju in front of him, he only felt that his wife was really a beautiful woman today. Zhao Qianhu's eyes blurred for a second. "Honey, you're so beautiful today." Jinju blushed again because of Zhao Qianhu's words. Looking at Zhao Qianhu in a wedding suit in front of her, Jinju finally understood why Mrs. Zhou said that Zhao Qianhu was very handsome today. After dressing up a little, Zhao Qianhu in front of her indeed didn't have the image of a rough man in the past. He was a little more handsome. It was indeed difficult to find such a handsome bridegroom in the countryside. Jinju wanted to tell Zhao Qianhu that he was also very handsome today, but she was too shy to say it now. She was too shy to say anything. Looking at the beautiful woman in front of him, Zhao Qianhu was a little restless in his heart, and his desire arose spontaneously. He wasn't young now, so how could he not know about the affairs between a man and a woman? Sometimes when he was working, he could hear a few words of a man who was married, and he was quite curious in his heart. The secretion of hormones made him want to find a woman to do that kind of thing with to relieve the emptiness in his heart. Unfortunately, he wasn't married before and he didn't have a wife. Even if he had any desire sometimes, he would restrain himself. Now that he finally got married, he didn't need to restrain his inner desire anymore. If he wanted to do something, he could do it directly. Zhao Qianhu sat down beside Jinju and murmured, "Ju, my husband, Ju, it's late. Let's prepare for the wedding night. Every minute of the night is precious. Don't miss it." After saying that, Zhao Qianhu gently moved closer to Jinju and reached out his hand to Jinju. Jinju knew what was going to happen next, but there were still candles in the room. In such a bright environment, it was embarrassing to do that kind of thing. She stopped Zhao Qianhu and said shyly, "Honey, please blow out the candle if you want to do it. I'm afraid that someone will see us." Seeing the blush on Jinju's cheeks, Zhao Qianhu nodded. "Okay." As he spoke, Zhao Qianhu walked up to the candle flame and blew it out. The room was suddenly plunged into darkness, which made Ho Jinju feel more secure. "Honey." Zhao Qianhu couldn't wait any longer. He moved to the front and back of the bed and pressed Jinju under his body. Jinju let out a low cry. Although she was nervous, she did not resist. Now that she was married to Zhao Qianhu, it was natural for her to do this kind of thing. Facing her future husband, she was willing to let him touch her however he wanted. Moreover, she had some faint expectations in her heart. Touching that soft body, the desire in Zhao Qianhu's heart grew stronger. He moved closer to Jinju's body and sniffed. A faint fragrance entered his nostrils. "Honey, you smell so good," Zhao Qianhu said in a low voice. When he touched Jinju's lips, he couldn't help kissing her. It was the first time that Jinju had been intimate with someone. If other people touched her like this, she would definitely resist. However, facing Zhao Qianhu at this time, she didn't want to resist at all. Instead, she sank deeper and deeper into Zhao Qianhu's kiss. After being intimate for a while, their bodies became hotter and hotter. Zhao Qianhu's lower part was already erect, and he was eager to release it. Chapter 20:31. Jinju subconsciously blocked it with her hand and let out a whimper. Zhao Qianhu paused for a second, then said to Jinju softly, "Honey, don't be nervous. I'll do it slowly. I won't hurt you." Only then did Jinju slowly release her hand. A satisfied smile appeared on Zhao Qianhu's face as he continued to undress. Both of them were wearing wedding clothes, so it was very complicated to undress them. After a while, both of them slowly took off their clothes and faced each other naked. Daughter-in-law, although it was dark in the room, both of them could feel each other's existence. Zhao Qianhu's hands touched Jinju's body. Wherever his hands touched, Jinju's skin would tremble. This kind of numb feeling was a little strange, but she didn't know why she liked it very much. Honey. Zhao Qianhu's erect thing was pressing against Jinju's lower abdomen, and Jinju's face was burning. Thinking of the next step, Jinju became even more nervous. She was at the age of getting married, so it was impossible for her to be completely ignorant of this kind of thing. She had heard that a woman's first time would bleed, and it would be very painful. At this moment she was aroused by Zhao Qianhu, and eagerly wanted Zhao Qianhu to finish the next step. She didn't care whether it was painful or not. She would only know what kind of feeling it was after trying it. Honey, I'm going to come in. Please bear with it for a while. Zhao Qianhu lowered his body and whispered in Jinju's ear. Okay. Jinju answered shyly. Because the room was very dark, Zhao Qianhu couldn't find the door, so he could only fumble around. After a few minutes, both of them were unusually anxious. Zhao Qianhu was even more anxious than Jinju. Sure enough, the first time was unfamiliar and it wasn't so easy to succeed. But if he didn't go in for a long time, that thing down there would be really uncomfortable. Most importantly, as a man, if he couldn't do this kind of thing, it would be like losing face. In the future, he wouldn't be able to raise his head in front of his wife. Honey, The more impatient Zhao Qianhu was, the harder it was for him to succeed. Seeing that Jinju still hadn't succeeded, Zhao Qianhu felt a little guilty. Jinju was already on fire because of Zhao Qianhu. At this moment, she desperately wanted to relieve the fire. In the end, Zhao Qianhu didn't move at all. She suddenly felt a little disappointed. However, Jinju still comforted Zhao Qianhu. Husband, maybe you're too tired today. Why don't we have a good rest tonight? We'll be fine tomorrow. Zhao Qianhu of course knew that Jinju was comforting him. He knew that he wasn't in a good state today, but if he gave up now, it would leave a psychological shadow. He didn't know whether he could do it tomorrow. Zhao Qianhu said in a low voice a little shyly. Ju, today is our wedding day. We have to consummate our marriage tonight. If we don't consummate our marriage, what will it be? This is our mother's first time. It's inevitable that we're unfamiliar with it. Let me try again. What if I succeed? Besides, my thing is still hard. If we don't do it now, it won't soften tonight. Hearing Zhao Qianhu's words, Jinju smiled and agreed. Chapter 2032. Honey, can you help me touch it? Zhao Qianhu's heart was slightly moved, and he asked Jinju in a somewhat pleading tone. Jinju's face became even hotter. How could she not know what Zhao Qianhu meant when he said he wanted to touch her? She was too shy to say a word this time. How could she touch it? She didn't even want to look at it. Wifey, can you help me touch it? Zhao Qianhu begged again when Jinju didn't say a word. Jinju's heart softened when she heard Zhao Qianhu's begging. She didn't want to reject Zhao Qianhu. She hesitated for a while before she finally agreed. Zhao Qianhu was thrilled. He hurriedly reached out his hand and gently guided Jinju's hand to a certain part of her body. After a while, Jinju hurriedly held something like a cucumber in her hand. After realizing that it was a certain part of Zhao Qianhu's body, she had a very strange feeling all over her body. Zhao Qianhu also felt that this feeling was very strange, but there was a comfortable and pleasant feeling in the strange feeling. Zhao Qianhu didn't know how to describe it. No wonder other men said that sleeping with a woman was a very comfortable experience. He finally understood what those people were talking about at this moment. If he didn't experience it himself, he wouldn't know what it was like. Wife. Zhao Qianhu let out a soft moan of pleasure. This time he couldn't wait to touch Jinju's body. This time he finally found the right channel and entered her body in an instant. Both of them let out a muffled groan, but each of them felt different. For Zhao Qianhu, the feeling of being wrapped was a little different. It was very comfortable, but Jinju felt a little pain. She couldn't help but frown. Zhao Qianhu couldn't help moving. Jinju endured the pain and said, "Honey, can you be gentler?" Realizing that his movements were a little too violent, Zhao Qianhu hurriedly controlled himself. "Does it still hurt?" Zhao Qianhu softly asked the beautiful woman under his body. Jinju replied, "Yeah, a little bit." Zhao Qianhu's movements became even gentler. This feeling of controlling himself and not releasing too much made Zhao Qianhu unable to stop. After Jinju slowly adapted to Zhao Qianhu's thing, she didn't feel any pain. Instead, she felt a sense of pleasure. Seeing that Jinju didn't complain about the pain, Zhao Qianhu's movements became a little faster. The two people gradually reached their climax in the pleasure of the moon and water. Because it was the first time for both of them, they were very unfamiliar with it. However, it was the first time they felt this wonderful experience and they felt that it was not enough. Therefore they were too happy doing this kind of thing. Jinju couldn't help but cry out. The two of them didn't notice at all that their bed was creaking under their violent tossing. The sound was abnormally loud. At this time in the room next door, Zhao Wenshi and Feng Zhangxia were afraid that Zhao Qianhu would be too honest. Even if he really knew how to do it, he might not be shameless enough to do it, so they turned their ears to the wall and listened to the movements in Zhao Qianhu's room. Chapter 2033. Zhao Wenshi said with a straight face, "Of course. Why would I lie to you about this?" Feng Zhangxia frowned and asked worriedly, "What should we do?" Tianhu's father, look at Tianhu's room. There's no movement until now. They definitely aren't doing it. Isn't it just that they haven't consummated their marriage? Zhao Wenshi sighed and said, "You woman, look at how anxious you are. You'll know later. Maybe they haven't started yet." Glancing at Zhao Wenshi's calm expression, Feng Zhangxia replied in annoyance, "How can I, as a mother, not be anxious when you're talking like that? Today is Tianhu's wedding day. How can they not consummate their marriage? The two of them have been in the room for a long time. They should have started a long time ago. Why haven't they started yet?" Zhao Wenshi still felt that Feng Zhangxia was worrying too much. The two of them might be embarrassed at the beginning. It's nothing. You woman, you're making a fuss over nothing. If they really can't do it, what are you going to do? Are you going to break into the room and teach them step by step? You're the father who doesn't know how to care about your children. Anyway, I don't care. If the two of them can't do it tonight, you'll have to teach them properly. Zhao Wenshi couldn't argue with Feng Zhangxia, so he could only agree. Okay. Whatever you say. As soon as Zhao Wenshi finished speaking, there was finally some movement in Zhao Qianhu's room. Feng Zhangxia hurriedly gestured for Zhao Qianhu to keep quiet. Shoo. Then she stretched her ears and pressed them against the wall, carefully listening to the sounds coming from the other side of the wall. First, there was the sound of the bed creaking. Then she heard Jinju moaning. It was obvious what Zhao Qianhu and Jinju were doing at that moment. The worried expression on Feng Zhangxia's face finally disappeared. She heaved a sigh of relief and whispered to Zhao Wenshi, "Hey, it's finally done. The two of them are consummating their marriage." Zhao Wenshi smiled and said to Feng Zhangxia, "I told you. You worry too much. What could possibly happen? Although Qianhu is a little honest, he's not a fool. If he doesn't know how to consummate his marriage, then he's really a good-for-nothing." Feng Zhangxia looked at Zhao Wenshi. "You don't know how honest Qianhu is. It's good for parents to worry. Even if he knows, we can still remind him. Isn't this just in case?" Zhao Wenshi had no choice but to nod in agreement. At that moment, Zhao Qianhu and Jinju were tossing and turning in the room more violently, especially when they heard the ecstatic moans. Zhao Wenshi and Feng Zhangxia didn't have much of a reaction at first, but after hearing the sounds, their desire grew stronger. Zhao Wenshi smiled and leaned closer to Feng Zhangxia, revealing a sly smile. "Tianhu's mother, since the two of them have consummated their marriage, you don't have to continue worrying. Are you going to do something for the two of us now?" You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.